And one. What up? What up? What up? Welcome to another episode of the Sports PSP podcast. As Champ always says, the highlight of Friday nights. Hope everyone is enjoying a fantastic day coming off work, school, whatever the case may be. I am your host, Sports PSP. Hope everyone, like I said, is enjoying a fantastic Friday evening. I wanted to give a quick shout out to my man Darian Hopkins, D Hop. Support the channel. He and I are collaborating. Good brother, good dude. Please go check out his content, man. He does a lot of good stuff. So whenever you have the chance, check out his IG, check out his TikTok, his X, YouTube. Support the brother, man. Great guy. And thank you for everything that you've done for me, man. But of course, I got the panel of Friday night. I got BRF Sports in the building. How you doing, brother?
Life, can't complain. Life's life in a little bit, but I can't complain. Another hard week of work, but yeah, it was another productive week, and definitely want to give a quick shout out. Well, actually, condolences out. One of the more underrated actors of our time, one of my favorite actors growing up. R.I.P. to Val Kilmer, Doc Holliday, Bruce Wayne, among other movies, the Iceman from Top Gun, among other big time roles he's had. Definitely sending prayers and condolences to his friends and family. He died this week, so definitely rest in peace to him as well. And I'm always just, hey, you gotta appreciate your loved ones. You gotta give them their flowers while they're here because you never know when it can be taken from them. So RIP to the man. Salute. Thank you for a lot of good memories, a lot of good roles, a lot of good movies. You will be missed, good sir. And I'm ready and just to get the love and just to show some love to him. Always a pleasure to share the stage with you two fine brothers, and I'm ready to get it popping.
Absolutely. Let me just read this comment right here. Shout out to, again, D Hop, Derek Hopkins. What's good, family? Thank you, brother. And of course, we cannot start the Sports PSP podcast without Columbus, Georgia's own four-time degree Atlanta Falcons number one fan, number one New Orleans Saints hater in the world, undisputed world champ. How you doing, brother?
You're not gonna get a better introduction than that. Number one, that is crazy. I appreciate that. I'm honored, and I don't know what to say. Interesting fact about Val Kilmer. He actually voiced Moses and God on The Prince of Egypt.
Wow.
I didn't find that out until yesterday. I didn't know that he voiced the Prince Moses and the voice of God on The Prince of Egypt, which is one of my favorite movies, by the way. And with Easter coming up, I recommend that as a strongly recommended movie. DreamWorks did a hell of a job with that movie.
Yes, they did.
And rest in peace to Val Kilmer, Bruce Wayne. Me being from Georgia, although we all know about Doc Holliday down here. Me being from Georgia, I'm always going to say that my favorite character is Doc Holliday. Shout out to my Aunt Judy. She has a picture of Doc Holliday in her house. I'm just going to be real. That's how big of a fan she is of Doc Holliday. So if Auntie, if you're watching this, shout out to you. Always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to share the stage with each and every last one of you. From the Garden State to the Peach State. It's always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor. Get ready, man. I'm privileged to be here.
Hey, man, it don't get any better. It don't get any better, man. It doesn't get any better than what we got. But fellas, let's talk about some news. I give undisputed world champ the first floor, and I'll give him credit on this. Shaq's comments on Nikola Jokic. Shaquille O'Neal went on ESPN, went on Inside the NBA, and here's what he had to say if his prime in 2001 would go up against today's Jokic. Here are the comments.
2001 Shaq, 2025 Jokic, what happens?
Slavian chicken, wherever he's from.
Wait, what? Slovenian chicken?
Slovenian chicken.
Really? You tear him up?
Yeah.
What's your stat line? What's his stat line of the night?
I'm Serbian. I'm getting 48. They're going to have to double me. Yeah, he probably going to pick him apart and take me out. But he probably won't be in the game because after you shoot the three, when I'm right to the middle lane and the whole ring, we get 3 seconds. And we'll see. And I'm going to hit way more twos than you hit threes, guarantee that.
I just don't think they would match.
I want to see it. I wish I could see it.
And
They're not putting Eric Gordon on.
I'm going to make his brothers want to fight me because the first play of the game, they'll go
You
all
don't want that. You don't want them apples. You don't want his brothers coming at you.
I got brothers.
Come on, Twitter. Come at you with
I
the.
got brothers.
No, have you seen his brothers?
Have you seen my brothers? Watch this. Oh, see, Candace, so worldwide. Chicken.
All right, fellas. He hear the comments from Shaquille O'Neal. Champ, I'm gonna let you go first. How would the Diesel back in 2001 go up against today's Nikola Jokic?
It would really depend on the situation. If it's a one-on-one situation, they're doing 1v1 basketball, then Shaq, that power is kind of hard to match him. Very, very hard. I mean, I'm just going to be very, very honest. There was a point in the NBA where you had to have at least 5 bigs on your team in order to combat Shaq. In order to combat him. Remember Philadelphia, they had Theo Ratliff, Matt Geiger, and Dikembe Mutombo to throw at him in the NBA Finals. And remember how, he took Dikembe Mutombo, rest in peace, arguably the greatest defensive center of all time next to probably Bill Russell, and he took him to the nose and just grind him all night. Now, if it's a 1v1 situation, it goes to Shaq. However, if it's a 5-on-5 situation, if it's 2001 Lakers versus 2023 Nuggets, it's a whole nother story. Because the thing is, the way that Rasheed Wallace used to combat Shaq is to get him out there on the perimeter. That's the way that he used to combat it. Yeah, in the paint, all that belongs to Shaq. But when you get him out there on the perimeter and get him out of his comfort zone, you can pretty much get him the way you need to be. Plus, we got to think about this. As far as passing and playmaking ability, we have not seen a center like Jokic since maybe Akeem Olajuwon. So the way that he would be able to get all of his teammates involved, the way that he would be able to get his playmaking ability, and the way he would be able to maneuver around and get his team maneuver around, I think that they would get him in a 5-on-5 situation. I think that they could get him in a 5-on-5 situation. If it's 1v1, Shaq. If it's 5-on-5, that playmaking ability that Jokic just have and the ability to be on the perimeter and things like that, I will go Jokic. But the thing is, Shaq is always going to say he's going to cook somebody, which I don't blame him. At his peak, he was the most dominant center that you ever want to see. It was impossible to stop him. I mean, it was impossible to stop him. You had to double team him. And when you double team him, that put a lot of other guys in situation in order to make plays. So 1v1 Shaq, the 2001 Lakers versus the 2023 Nuggets, with his playmaking ability, it goes to Jokic and the Nuggets. Because, like I said, it's not going to always come down to Jokic. He's going to be able to get a lot of his players, the other players involved. And he's an offensive force himself. So it's not like Jokic is just a scrub. It's not like he's one of these soft guys that he's just going to go all over. And plus, he's a hell of a rim protector as well.
Yeah.
A hell of a rim protector.
Doesn't get enough credit for that.
61, 10, and 10. So he ain't no joke on them boards neither. So, I mean, I think Shaq will win, but guess what? It's going to be, he's going to dominate in the paint. But like I said, if I'm Jokic, get him out on the perimeter like Rasheed Wallace used to.
All right, we got some comments right here. First of all, shout out to Cheeseheads and the Bear Podcast. Please go like and subscribe to their podcast, IG, TikTok. Dwayne Coleman, go check him out as well. Shaquille O'Neal, damn well, he too big to be a police officer. I mean, he ain't lying there. He also has Shaq. D-Hop says Shaq played in an era when big men was allowed to stay in the lane, but now that 3 seconds in the lane on both sides of the call can be crucial. Champ, I do agree with you. If this were out in the park, perhaps Shaq has a chance. Shaq has a chance of beating Jokic because again, Jokic can't rely on passing, but don't sleep on Jokic as far as with his playmaking and as far as his ability to shoot from within the mid range. Jokic has a nice soft touch around that area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 5-on-5, it depends on which era, champ. If it were the early 2000s, yes, the Lakers. But if you're looking at today's game, based on how the game is operated with the spacing and how the way that Jokic can handle and distribute the basketball, I go with Jokic in that end. But to be honest with you guys, I got to admit, and I'm a huge Jokic fan, I still to this day consider Jokic the best basketball player in the game. He's getting a lot of flack, a lot of criticism. Remember Marcus Morris when he went on First Take and he claimed that Nikola Jokic is not even a top 20 player of all time, despite Jokic winning 3 league MVPs, a championship, finals MVP. You know, he joined James Harden as well as another player to have a 60, 10, and 10. And with, I don't know what Jokic is going to have to do in order to get the respect that he's getting. I don't have a problem with Shaq feeling that way because, again, he is entitled to his opinion, and Shaq can back it up because he is the Diesel. He was the most dominant player at that era. But don't you find it interesting, champ? You know, because remember, first things first, Chris Broussard. I have nothing but respect for Chris Broussard. He said it is disrespectful for LeBron to say that Giannis can dominate back then in that era. You think it's kind of disrespectful for the old school players to say that in that era? And again, I don't have a problem with them saying it because they have the game. But I feel like nowadays there's been a lot more disrespect to the modern era. And shout out to our guy Flash, and please go check him out on Undisputed World Champs podcast. Go like and subscribe to that podcast as well. Flash is tired of so many of the younger guys saying, we're done with the 90s. We're done with the 90s. Now it seems like to me, we're probably done with today's time. It seems like to me, the old school cats are hating on the young era. Am I lying, champ?
No, and it's funny you bring that up because I actually made a vid about that today on TikTok. And the thing is, I hate this whole double standard situation, if you really want me to be honest. So it's okay for you to call my era soft. It's okay for you to say this is the softest basketball has ever been. It's okay to say you'll cook my generation. But when I go back and say I will cook every last one of you plumbers that played in your generation, all of a sudden it's disrespect. Respect goes both ways, last I checked.
Facts.
Respect goes both ways, last I checked. So if you don't want me talking about your era and how I would come back and cook you, then don't come to my era talking about how much you'll cook me. It's kind of like that adult child like syndrome that a lot of, you see at BRF down south. Mm-hmm. So you see it all the time. You know, you get a lot of the more grown people, down south that, respect your elders. I'm like, okay, we understand that. But the thing is, I'm still grown. That's the whole thing. That's how I feel with this whole NBA situation. They always tell the younger player, respect who came before you. But the thing is, the era that came before me is always disrespecting my era. And the thing is this, we always give credit to the old school guys and say, hey, the nutrition was not as good back then. The strength and conditioning programs were not good. We always say that for that generation. And we realize that. But you got to understand, a lot of guys from this generation, they're handcuffed by some of the rules. Can you imagine what Draymond Green, how much of a force that Draymond Green would be if we was playing bad boy Pistons rules basketball? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine the damage that he would be doing if he was allowed to play that form of basketball? I'm talking about just Draymond Green alone. He would be held in higher regard than he even is now. Because that enforcer mentality that he has, unfortunately, nowadays we call that dirty play. Back in them days, it was accepted. So if we were still playing bad boy Pistons rules, then guess what? Draymond Green will be held in higher regard, especially with his defensive play. When you think about Giannis, at one point we was comparing him to Shaq.
Yes. Even Shaq said it. Even
Exactly.
Shaq said it himself. He said he's the guy who can have the Superman cape because he plays exactly the way that I play. Easy shots, post up, take my size, use my size as my advantage.
Yes. And not only that, he has a 3-point shot. He has an outside. He can play the perimeter. So guess what? These modern day players get so disrespected because you can't go out here and just pulverize somebody when they come into the lane. It's anything, you have to be more skilled now because you can't do that. You have to find other ways to play defense. Same thing with football. So for the older generation to keep coming back and just disrespecting these young players, and I'm an old head myself. Sometimes I have my criticisms about the modern NBA. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to get on the air and lie. Sometimes I look at it and say, yeah, it was a little bit better back in the era. But at the same time, you have to have that respect for these players nowadays because guess what? It's a year-round sport nowadays. Year-round. Especially if you have to play in the Olympics or something of that nature. And so I think modern-day players do get disrespected a lot by previous generation. And the thing is, when the players of this generation say, I can cook the previous generation, they're really not saying it in those terms. They're only saying that I can play in that generation. That's all they're saying. When he said Giannis can put up 200 points,
LeBron.
How is it disrespectful? How is it disrespectful for anybody to say that I can put up 200, that someone as powerful, as skilled, and has the basketball paralysis as Giannis to say he can score 200 points in a game in the 70s? How is that disrespectful? How? They said that Jordan needs, when those same old men, my generation, I will say, and I'll put that out there, they say that Jordan would average 60 if he played today. So what's the difference in what we're saying? What is the difference? You're saying that you would average 60 in my era, and we accept that because of how great you are. But when I turn around and say I put up 200 in the game in your era, all of a sudden it's disrespectful all of a sudden. Why is that?
That doesn't make any sense to me considering Giannis and his accomplishments. He'll never be Jordan or some of these all-time greats, but Giannis is a 2-time league MVP, a former defensive player of the year. He's one of 3 men to say I've won MVP and defensive player in the same year. That's Hakeem Olajuwon and Michael Jordan. 2 of them are first ballot Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
Therefore, why is it disrespectful? And again, you bringing up LeBron James when he went on Pat McAfee show and he mentioned that. I've said this to BRF and he'll attest. If you want people to be honest, whether you like or dislike their opinion, hey, it's their opinion. I think Giannis would have been fine in that era because of how Giannis is as far as developing his skill. Giannis has a will. The reason why a lot of these, and by the way, for Shaq, for these old cats to have a problem with what Giannis would do in their era, a lot of these old cats actually like Giannis compared to the modern day players. Because when you look at Giannis, he's a guy who works hard, gets better each and every year, doesn't communicate with a lot of these modern players in the off season, doesn't work out with them. And yet LeBron James, who is considered the GOAT or the second greatest basketball player of all time, he's telling you what LeBron would have done in that era. And so many of the old school guys have a lot of respect for Giannis. And you think it's a problem to say that? But meanwhile, you said in today's game, you would have done this. Well, imagine if the old school players, if they would have played in that era, remember the no hand check rule. So you can't guard players back then like it is currently. The spacing and stuff like that. But again, if you can't even give your honest assessment, and if you can't give an opinion, I mean, look, it's their opinion. Whether you like it or not, it's their opinion. But to your point, Champ, how is that disrespectful? And the problem I have with Jokic, and I've made the argument, Jokic, in my opinion, is still the most disrespected player in the NBA because I feel like nothing is enough. Nothing is enough with him. I'm still getting constantly bleeped on by the media, by the public. By the way, whether him or SGA for the MVP, hey, I mean, it's tough. You can't go wrong with SGA based on the year that the Oklahoma City Thunder are having, but you can't go wrong with Jokic either. Some people, they'll probably make the argument against Jokic because of what voters fatigue, because he's already won 3 MVPs. But when I look at Jokic, I've won 3 league MVPs. I became one of the first few players to have 2,000 points, over 1,000 rebounds, 500 assists, at least in a season. I've won a championship. I've won a finals MVP. I've established myself as one of the best players in the NBA, and still I'm not. It's not enough. It's not enough. And I just hate that because, again, why can't we appreciate the art? Why is it right now that we hating on the art right now, but when the art is gone, when the players are gone, then suddenly we want to give them their flowers?
I think a lot of that has to do with him not being an American basketball player as well. I think that a lot of that has to do with him being a non-American basketball player. I really do.
Or the fact, Champ, that he plays in a small market in Denver. He's not really known as marketable. Jokic doesn't really talk a lot. Jokic doesn't have much of a personality. But yeah, to your point, he is from Serbia. But I don't know, Champ. It just seems like to me they just don't want to give Jokic his flowers. But when he retires, then all of a sudden they'll give him his flowers. I feel like, listen, I'm not going to be around forever. At least give me my flowers for now, because you probably won't see this again.
Probably not. And the thing is, I think that a little bit of that goes to the Tim Duncan syndrome. What do I mean by that? Tim Duncan is considered the top power forward of all time, yet he never comes up in GOAT conversation. He never comes up in GOAT conversations. Why? He played in a small market in San Antonio, number one. Number two, he wasn't necessarily a big talker. He didn't have the biggest personality in the world. And although he won, like I said, it's a small market. You might be the king in your market, but on the national stage, it's not necessarily it. Matter of fact, him and LeBron James was a part of the lowest rated finals in NBA history. Hard as that is to believe. That finals between him and LeBron was the lowest rated finals in NBA history.
The conference finals.
No, the NBA finals in 2007. That was the lowest rated finals.
I'm sorry, Champ. Yeah. I apologize.
Oh, no. Ain't no need to apologize, bro. So, but he wasn't considered necessarily marketable. He wasn't considered necessarily the media darling. He didn't have that big, huge personality. Greg Popovich was his coach, who was a non-Hollywood type of coach, unlike Phil Jackson. And so, although he's considered the best power forward of all time, won more MVPs than Kobe and Shaq during their era, and was the only person to put them to the test during their respective era.
Not to mention, won them back-to-back years.
Yeah. So, not to mention, think about the teams that Tim Duncan beat. He beat the New York Knicks. He beat the New Jersey Nets. He beat the Miami Heat at their best. He beat the Detroit Pistons. Beat the Detroit Pistons, that superstar defense that was holding teams to under 60 points. We'll never see that again. Beat some of the greatest teams of all time in order to get to the finals and win. And yet, although he's considered the best power forward of all time, he's not often brought up in GOAT conversation. Like I said, I think that's what's happening to Jokic at this point. He doesn't have a big personality. He's in a small market team. He's not a look at me type of guy. It's like he punches his clock and he takes his behind home And that's what I believe he suffers from. Whereas a lot of these other players are look at me, look at me. Jokic ain't like that. I'm here to score points, win basketball games, and get the crap out of here. And I also think that's why that Kareem is not looked at and put more in the GOAT conversation, because he was just stoic. He was very, very stoic, just like Tim Duncan and Jokic. I believe that that's why those three players, even when they retire, they don't end up in a lot of GOAT conversation, because they wasn't these big personalities. They wasn't these
flamboyant.
It's like they were stoic. They wasn't this. You couldn't throw a market campaign at them. Like I said, they were stoic. They were very, very standoffish with the media. Remember when Jokic won the NBA championship, the only thing he kept saying to the media is, I want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to go home. And he said, oh man, the parade tomorrow, I want to go home. That's the only thing he kept saying. So that's what I believe he suffered from. It's like that Tim Duncan, Kareem effect, because of their personality, because they were so stoic, because they're so standoffish with the media. A lot of conversations they don't end up in. If you really want me to be honest with you, the best basketball story in the history of basketball has to be Kareem. He won in high school, the highest recruited basketball player in history, coming out of New York. Then you go to UCLA, win 3 championships, had that winning streak going on with
the great
Coach
John Wooden.
Then you go win in a small market with the Milwaukee Bucks with the great Oscar Robertson. Then you are the dynasty of dynasties in the 80s, and is a part of the greatest rivalry of all time with Bird and Magic. You can't talk about the Bird and Magic rivalry without Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in that conversation. Can't talk about the all-time leading scorer without talking about Kareem. And ironically, he was the all-time leading scorer before LeBron. People didn't start calling LeBron the GOAT until after he passed Kareem, but yet Kareem was not in that conversation. So that's what I blame it on. It's like the look at me guys get more attention than the quiet guys. And I think that's why Jokic and a lot of the more quiet guys, including Kareem and Tim Duncan, get the most disrespect, because guess what? They're not look at me guys. And it's sad.
Shout out to Casual. Shout out to our guy Casual, because he made the argument for Tim Duncan top 5 all time. And you can make a strong argument given Tim Duncan's resume, his body of work, his impact, his style of defense. I mean, Tim Duncan is not flashy to a lot of people, but he is Mr. Big Fundamental. And when it comes to moments, clutch moments, he's there. So BRF, what are your thoughts on what Shaq said on what he would do to Jokic, current Jokic, and much more, man?
Well, I mean, in terms of just the 1v1 man-on-man game, I mean, he said nothing wrong, because that's who Shaq was as a player. At his peak, he's the most dominant player in NBA history at his peak. I mean, so in a 1v1 setting, with just worrying about, at the end of the day, getting the ball in the hoop, he's not wrong. There's no center ever that could guard Shaq at his peak. None ever. That includes Bill Russell. That includes Kareem. That includes Wilt. There's no other center at Shaq peak that could defend Shaq, because he was just a different breed. It was his size, the athleticism that he had at his size, and just his sheer will to just be able to get a basket at any moment's notice. I don't think any center at his peak could have ever guarded Shaq. So in a 1v1 situation, yes. Now, a 5v5 situation, I'm taking the 0-1 Lakers over the Nuggets. If you're looking at scheme and you're looking at players and you're just looking at how they operated, I don't think. And you look at the depth of those rosters. If you're looking at a team perspective, I'm taking the 0-1 Lakers, because those 0-1 Lakers were just, for how they were cut, like with Phil Jackson as their coach, the offense, running the triangle, and the way they play. And the way they played defense. I mean, the 2001 Lakers. I mean, come on, man. 15-1. I mean, 15-1 playoffs. I mean, it was one of the greatest playoff runs of all time. And it was just how they were just systematic about it. They were very, I don't know. It was almost like a kind of, they had like a method to the madness, and it just worked for those Lakers. Now I will say this though. In the 5v5 setting, like, I mean, y'all pretty much hit on the head. The reason why Jokic is going to get his is the fact that the Denver Nuggets are able to scheme offensively in such a way that Jokic is going to be able to get his, I mean, Jokic let's face it, Jokic is an amazing, he's a 3-level scorer. He's a 3-level scorer. He can shoot the three. He's got the mid range. When he needs to get in the post, he can get a bucket in the post. So he's an amazing 3-level scorer. He's an elite 3-level scorer. His playmaking, his ability to get his teammates involved, Aaron Gordon, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., et cetera, to be able to kick out and be able to get his guys open looks, open threes. I can only imagine how many created points he averages a game. And that's shots, and that's basically his scoring as well as his playmaking. I can only imagine how many created points he averages a game, because there was a debate, and there was not necessarily a debate, but there was a debate a while back as far as like who are the greatest offensive players of all time. And a lot of that factors in like the created points, like the points that they're responsible for, whether it's scoring or assisting as far as their playmaking. I can only imagine what he averages a game in that. In a 5v5 setting, Jokic is going to be able to get his, because you're not necessarily going to be able to key on him, especially the way offenses run and the schemes, the constant screens, the constant pick and rolls, the constant movement, and just the reason why I do say the 0-1 Lakers would beat them is because with the triangle offense is predicated on playmaking, is predicated on ball movement, particularly in that scheme. With shit like, I think the 0-1, if you want to talk about the triangle offense, then it was basically I'm trying to remember the third leg of it. It's basically, well, honestly, it was really Shaq, Kobe, and a lot of the time that third leg was just mainly like who was hot at the time, because those offenses was basically built around Shaq and Kobe. That third leg of the triangle offense is usually at the time, it's usually who was hot, who had the hot hand at the time to be able to run that offense, be able to run it smoothly, and it didn't matter who. One night it could be Derek Fisher. One night it could be Brian Shaw. One night, just whoever's throwing it up at the time, whoever's scoring at the time. That's just what it was predicated on. But I will say this though, Jokic is for me. Jokic is the best player in the world. He is the best player in the world for me right now, and the stat that you dropped, the joint. Okay, it was James Harden and Luka, the only players to do a 60, 10, and 10. It's him, it's Harden, it's Luka. That's it. Only three players to do a 60, 10, 10 triple double. To hear 60, 10, and 10 for one is insane anyway, considering Giannis just dropped the 35, 17, 20.
20.
Yeah, the fact that Giannis just dropped a 35, 17, 20, and the fact that we're still talking about Nikola Jokic dropping a 60, 10, 10. I mean, it's insane. A lot of the skill level of these skill players today. The era argument, I think it kind of this is why I'm tired of hearing the argument against eras. Like, I don't mind talking about like what this player would do in this era, what this player would do in this era, how they could adapt and things like that. Because that's why a lot of times when you hear the term generational player thrown out there, that sparks debate. Larry Bird, generational player. Magic Johnson, generational player. Michael Jordan, generational player. Wilt Chamberlain, generational player. Bill Russell, if you want to call him a generational defender, absolutely generational defender. There's generational talents in every era. I feel like people might not want to hear this. On the lower end, Jerry West, you could say he's a generational player. Some of the numbers he put up late 60s, 70s, some of those numbers he was putting up rival a lot of the numbers that the players are putting up today. It's all about, it's like people don't want to have, regardless of whether it's yesteryear or the older, golden era to this era today. It's like people don't want to have healthy debates about stuff. It's okay to agree to disagree. At the end of the day, understanding what basketball is and what it was and what it is. Like the old head, because like I said, Champ, Hey, everybody. I'm 2 years older than Champ. I'm 2 years older than Champ. So it's like it's one of those things where it's like we gotta. I feel like we just have to like really. If we're gonna analyze the game, we need to analyze the game. We need to do it from a true sports perspective. I don't and like I said, like not too long ago, I don't mind the era comparisons. Like it's just, I will say this though, like because y'all talking about, I don't like the guy, the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s supporters. Yeah, they definitely need to quit with disrespecting this generation because I mean they got to understand the game is going to evolve. A lot of the players, I mean, that's why you hear a lot of fans like we talk about the Jordan layups and all this other stuff, and they'll be like, well, such and such just did that not too long ago. Because I mean, it's like a lot of this stuff is like more common because of the evolution of the games in terms of the skill, the athleticism, and everything. But I will say this though, to this generation, I mean, yes, the game has evolved. I mean, we ain't going to give you a cookie now because in 10, 20 years, the game is going to evolve again. And the way you look at yesteryear, when the game evolves again, those fans and those players are going to look at this era the exact same way this era looks at that era. That's why a lot of that kind of needs to, if you're going to do it, just do it from a healthy sense. Like too many times it's like insults being thrown around and trying to call people out their name and stuff like that. Like, yo, at the end of the day, sports is analysis, it's opinion based. It's fun. It's fun though. It's fun and it's entertainment. And this is why we do this. We do this because it's fun and it brings life to like the world today and the situation that we live in and all the craziness that's going on in the world today. Sports is supposed to be a beacon for that. It's supposed to be a light for that. And you don't necessarily want to darken that with all these, this debate here and this debate there, but you're not keeping it in a healthy thing. Like, I like hearing about what Michael Jordan could do and what Michael Jordan could do in this era with no hand checking and players not just being able to just get on you like that. Because people are like, well, Michael Jordan wasn't the greatest 3-point shooter in the world. Michael Jordan is arguably the greatest mid-range in the history of the sport. I mean, because they say, we're just going to give him the Giannis treatment. I'll say this, Michael Jordan's going to pick you in apart in the mid-range because that's his game and that's what he did. Like, could you imagine, but let's make it fun. Could you imagine Reggie Miller today? Could you imagine Chris Mullin today? Like some of the greatest 3-point shooters then. Could you imagine them now with
are you kidding me? They would even do even much better compared to what they did back then. And plus, we know how great they are in terms of the catch and shoot and how they move off the ball and in screens.
The game today is so predicated on players' ability to catch and shoot, coming off of screens, coming off of pick and rolls, just the motion offense. How it's so predicated today. The catch and shoot is so prevalent today. Guys like Reggie Miller would have a feast in this era with the catch and shoot and just being able to catch and shoot. You ain't got, what I'm saying? Klay Thompson, hit like 14 threes in a game with 2 dribbles? I mean, come on. I mean,
you mean to tell me Reggie Miller can't even do that?
Exactly. And that's what it's about. It's about taking a player, dropping it in the air, but having fun with it. I mean, for example, let's take someone off like a lesser end and put them in a different era. You know how everybody gives Rudy Gobert so much crap? Rudy Gobert gets
particularly.
Rudy Gobert gets crapped on so much, but we tend to forget Rudy Gobert would thrive in the 1990s when the big man could just sit in the post, not worrying about anything, could just stay in the lane, block shots, misdirect shots, rebound, offensive rebound. Can you imagine Rudy Gobert in the 90s? Rudy Gobert in the 90s could be a first ballot Hall of Famer. The way rules were dictated around the bigs that played back then, the Ewings, the Mornings, the Robinsons, the Elijah ones, the Mutombos, like that was like the 90s was like the era of the big, of the center. Rudy Gobert could fit into that. Rudy Gobert ain't got to work, wouldn't have to necessarily, and even somebody like Giannis, we get on Giannis for not being able to shoot the 3-point shot. You put him in an area where he doesn't have to worry, the way he doesn't have to worry about the 3-point shot, and he could just use his athleticism against other bigs in that era. I mean, he would fit right in. It's just all about looking at the player, looking at the individual talent, looking at situations and analyzing it, but making it fun at the same time, and folks need to quit trying to make it so toxic and make it fun. So all right. So to go and okay, I'll go back to the Jokic thing. A lot of it is voter fatigue. It is voter fatigue, and I think voter fatigue. I made a video about voter fatigue. As a matter of fact, I made a video about Jokic and voter fatigue. I think it's
like
one of the
Lamar
stupidest things ever. Exactly. Where people like, well, Lamar already got, Jokic already has 3, or in Lamar's case, he's already got 2, and I'm like, yo, seasons should be analyzed year to year basis as their own entity. Player's choice. I'm giving a shout out to Player's Choice. They posted a hell of a clip today that I saw on IG. I can't remember which guy it was, but he made a hell of a point that each season should be judged as its own entity. It should not matter what you've done in the past. Each season is its own entity. And I made a video about that when they were talking about. I made the video when they were saying like, "Oh man," it was like, Jokic.
Mm-hmm. Which guy? Because I know some of them dudes from Players' Choice, good dudes, from Bob, from LeBron, Mars, Chill. Who said that? Was that Mars or Chill?
No, it wasn't neither one of them. It was gosh, what's his? I can't remember his name. He light skin, the light skinned dude. Oh, not Mar, but the other light skinned dude. Always wear hats. Always wear hats in the videos.
Okay, yeah, I know which dude you're referring to. I mean, yeah, I know some of them guys from Players' Choice. I used to go on their pods, their live streams before. They're good dudes, and yeah. Sorry to interrupt you or cut you off, BRF. To your point, yes, it should be judged yearly. Like we talked about the NFL MVP. Listen, I made the case for Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry, not Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen to win the MVP. Y'all said MV3 because of what Lamar Jackson did. I mean, 3rd seed with the AFC, 4,000 yards, 40-something touchdowns, less than 5 interceptions. You look at those numbers, that's Aaron Rodgers' numbers. Lamar Jackson, if you look at the numbers, the stats-wise, he had the best quarterback season of all the quarterbacks in 2024, but he didn't win it. And it wasn't because of voters' fatigue. To your point, Champ, and you mentioned, no, we have to be consistent because the year before, Lamar Jackson won the MVP, and he didn't put up these crazy top-notch numbers compared to Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, and all of them. Now, again, that's not to say that Lamar Jackson isn't deserving of the MVP. I wouldn't have a problem with him winning the MVP, but I made the argument for Josh Allen to win it because look at what he's had to work with. And what was the knock on him? Turnovers.
Yeah.
So considering the turnovers, which he reduced substantially, and then on top of that, if you take away Josh Allen, how would Buffalo be? And
that'd be trash.
Trash.
Jokic is doing this. People have forgotten they lost KCP. They lost some role players. He's doing it with Russell Westbrook. The Denver Nuggets are probably top 3 in the Western Conference. And Jokic is currently averaging a triple-double as we speak.
On almost 60% shooting from the field.
And what's so funny about that, he's not getting it, and this is no knock to nobody for anybody come. He's not stat padding. It's just happening. He's not doing it on purpose. He's not going up. It's just happening. It's just a natural process. It's just you look up and he just got 60 points. He got 10 rebounds. And the thing is, he can put up 10. He can take 10 shots in the game and be the best player in the league and be the best player on the floor.
Because he makes up for everything else, and then on top of that, if you take away some of his his scores, he's still gonna get guys the ball. Even in 2020, when he won the MVP, he did it without Jamal Murray. 2021, he did it without Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah. So yeah, even if you take away some of his shots, it goes back to what Kevin McHale said about Magic Johnson and Bird, and that's what we can say about Jokic. This guy can take 10 shots in one game and still be the best player on the floor because he'll have his 20 points, he'll have his 10 rebounds, and he'll have 10 assists, and he'll only take 10 to 14 shots and be the best player on the floor by far. That's what you look for in greatness, where your greatness is not necessarily predicated on scoring. And his greatness is not necessarily predicated on scoring. It's predicated on his playmaking, his defense, his overall body of work. It's amazing. Like I said, we'll never see something like this ever again. I mean, if Jokic is able to have the longevity of a LeBron, I will say if he's able to have the longevity of a LeBron, we may very well see somebody who breaks all of Wilt Chamberlain's records.
Mm-hmm. Shout out to Daddy Dennis. He said, "Go Seahawks." He felt like Lamar deserved the MVP. Allen played in a weak division, much weaker than Lamar, and 2 games against the Jets and Pats. That matters to me, but still, Daddy Dennis, if you take away Josh Allen's contributions, how would Buffalo be? I mean, they wouldn't be that good. And look, Lamar Jackson still put up great numbers. I don't think Derrick Henry, the acquisition of Derrick Henry, had anything to do with the MVP, even though Derrick Henry was putting up numbers, champ, which is why I disagreed with you about the argument you made about Jalen Hurts top 5. Yes, Jalen Hurts, yes, he does have a good enough team, and all these other quarterbacks have good enough teams. That being said, he didn't have much of the workload as Lamar Jackson had. But if you look at Josh Allen, he did without Stephon Diggs. Remember, Buffalo, at one point, we were having conversations. Is Sean McDermott just going to walk out the door because they let go of the offensive coordinator? So if they're going to let go of the offensive coordinator, is Sean McDermott going to walk out the door? And then when you look at Josh Allen, the knock on him was turnovers. Since he came into the NFL, he led the league in turnovers. That was the one thing he couldn't rectify. And plus, to your point, champ, hey, there's a reason why we're getting a lot of attention. Sports PSP podcast. You have advocated on this pod, as well as Brendan from the Blocks pod, run the damn ball with James Cook. You have often said that. It manifested, and guess what? They've won more games. But back to Jokic and Shaq. Yes, I believe one-on-one, Shaq would have probably beaten Jokic because Jokic can't rely on the passing part. Let's not act like Jokic is chopped liver. Shaq would still win, but let's not act like Jokic is chopped liver. But if you're talking about 5-on-5, if it was in the early 2000s, I would go with the Lakers because of how the way they were with the triangle offense and also how dominant they were as a team. The guys with the bench with Rick Fox, Robert Horry. You also had Brian Shaw. You also had Horace Grant. You also had a lot of other reliable players on that team. But if you're looking at today's game, how it's presently constructed, you couldn't go wrong with the Denver Nuggets. And plus, they're still going to implement the Hack of Shaq philosophy. So they're going to take away Shaq out of the ball game because we all know Shaq wasn't the best free throw shooter in the world.
No.
So I think Shaq I don't have a problem with Shaq feeling that way and what he said about Jokic because Shaq had the game, had the skill. Where I have a problem with necessarily is how it's easy for old school cats to say we could have done it in that era. But if someone current had said, hey, we could have done it in that era, that's disrespectful. Yes. That's the bigger problem. That's the problem that I have. But I don't have a problem with Shaq feeling what he said. Shaq's entitled to his opinion. And Shaq is the Diesel. Shaq's one of the greatest to ever do it. So I don't have a problem with it. None of us have a problem. None of us have a problem with Shaq said. I mean, hell, Shaq's saying this about his game. You got to have confidence in yourself to feel that way. Whether you agree or disagree, hey, you got to have confidence. You still got to validate yourself. So
Yes, indeed.
that's the thing.
I hate to cut y'all off, but real quick, just to let y'all know, even though we do our topics and talk to y'all and all this,
I know what you're about to say, BRF. South Carolina, they won.
No, not just that. We are about breaking about some breaking news when it hits. It's not just that.
Dwight Howard?
Nope. The record that I never thought I would see remotely get touched or tied in my lifetime. Alex Ovechkin just tied Wayne Gretzky for the most goals in the history of the NHL.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Alex Ovechkin just tied that record. He scored his 894th goal tonight. He just tied that record.
Oh man, the undisputed GOAT will be passed. He's still the GOAT, in my opinion.
Like one of the I always try to dabble in a little hockey. On one of the biggest debates, like as far as like the modern times, Alex Ovechkin or Sidney Crosby, and that's one of those where it's like I watched them both like in their prime. That's one of those like pick your poison. Like Alex Ovechkin he's the sniper, he's the scorer. Sidney Crosby, he could score, but he was more the all around guy. So that's one of those where it's like it's pick your poison. They're both first ballot Hall of Famers, so it's basically pick your poison. But yeah, Alex Ovechkin just tied Wayne Gretzky's goal record tonight. So shout out to the Washington Capitals, shout out to Alex Ovechkin. So that's a big time deal.
BRF, do you think that I have to ask you this question because I watch hockey as well. As you know, I'm a huge Los Angeles Kings fan. Do you think that Sidney Crosby was better than Mario Lemieux?
I think from an all-around standpoint, I would take Sidney Crosby. I don't think Sidney Crosby is the sniper Mario Lemieux was at his peak, but in terms of the all-around game, particularly the assists and being able to set up his teammates, the all-around game, I'm going Sidney Crosby.
Okay.
All right. But interesting stat. I appreciate that, BRF. But fellas, let's get to some basketball. Let's talk about the women's tournament. South Carolina, they beat Texas 74-57. They advanced into the national championship for the second consecutive time. Meanwhile, the UConn game is still going on, so we gotta wait and see on that. But who do y'all have winning the national championship on the women's side?
I have South Carolina. I have South Carolina. South Carolina. Until you show me you can slay the king, or in this case the queen, I'm going with the queens. I'm going South Carolina.
Undisputed world champ.
If there's anybody that is on that chessboard that can slay the queen, it's Coach Gino. Because you've named him, he's beaten them. You named him, he's beaten them. He's beaten Pat Summitt. He's beaten some of the greatest coaches of all time. But South Carolina, man, the SEC is the most competitive league in college basketball as far as on the women's side at this point. I mean, if you look at if you look at half the draft last year, Rickea Jackson, Angel Reese, just to name a few, all of them came from the SEC. So, and if you look at who's coming in the league now with Alicia Barrow, when you think about a lot of the other players that's coming into them, a lot of them are from the SEC. So, SEC is one of the best conferences in college basketball as far as the women's side is concerned. I think it's Coach Staley's time, and I'm hoping that she gets that back-to-back. I'm hoping that she gets that back-to-back. That is one of my dreams, and I'm hoping that UConn wins so that we can see the juggernauts clash. You have arguably the greatest coach of all time in women's basketball, holds the record for most consecutive wins in a row. I think they won 106 games in a row, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah. They broke John Wooten's record, a record that we never thought would be broken. a record that we never thought would be broken. So it's gonna. I'm hoping that Paige Beckers and UConn win so they can face South Carolina, because that is the game that I would be anxious to see. But the CEO, Coach Don Staley, who was a guest star on the Martin Show, by the way, back in the 90s. That's how I was introduced to her, was through that show when Martin and his homeboys faced off against Gina and the Dream Team.
I remember that one.
Yes, the CEO, Don Staley, been rocking since the 90s. So I got to go with the CEO, and I got to roll with the SEC, man. Coach Staley is doing her thing. Hey, wouldn't it be interesting if she got Olivia Miles to come to South Carolina?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying.
Her and Malaysia full wallet in the backcourt at the same time is illegal. That should be illegal.
That's illegal because she already entered the transfer portal. So can you imagine Olivia Miles on South Carolina? That's gonna feed families forever.
I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, and Coach Don Staley will pick her up. So, I mean, I would love to see that battle between UConn and South Carolina, because remember, champ, South Carolina, didn't they beat UConn at one point?
I think they beat them this year.
No, I meant for the national championship, because I remember.
I think they did. I'm not sure. I don't want to lie.
Yeah, I know last year they beat Caitlin Clark, and I know Don Staley has 2 national championships at South Carolina. 3 national championships. 3. Correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, folks. Look, the DiSerrano is hitting me a little too hard lately.
Yeah, that's why we here, man, to pick up behind each other. But
on the men's side, we got some big ones. We got Florida at Auburn, and we got Houston and Duke. Who's winning the national championship on the men's side?
Man, I don't have no faith in Houston for some reason, because every time they've gotten to this point, no matter in what era, they always choked it away. Whether that be with Fly Slamma Jamma, whether that be with anybody. So I just don't trust Houston, because they just have good teams, but they just don't seem to cut the mustard at a certain point. Shout out to my boy Calvin. Shout out to my guy Calvin. This is the only time that I will ever say this. This is the only time I'm ever going to say this, and it's hard for me to say as a Georgia Bulldogs fan. But I'm going to say this just for my best friend who lives in Columbus, Georgia.
Oh, no.
War Eagle. Bring it home for the SEC. That will be the first and last time that you will hear this Georgia Bulldog ever say anything good about Auburn. But War Eagle, bring it home to the SEC.
I don't know about that, champ. You'd be more disgusted if you said Roll Tide than War Eagle.
That's a good point as well.
Shout out to our guy Dennis Holmes. Please go check him out on the Stay Tuned Live podcast. BRF.
What I've noticed a lot about men's college basketball, about the college basketball on the men's side, it's won by really good guard play, and then every once in a while, you have that superstar that just like comes out of nowhere. Well, not necessarily come out of nowhere, but you have that superstar that really like kind of picks up the load for his team and carries them to the promised land. Don't be surprised if Cooper Flagg turns it up another level and gets Duke this championship. I'm looking at all the teams, though. I feel like Auburn is the most balanced team left in the tourney. So I'm going to pick Auburn too, but I'm going to say the national championship game is going to be Duke and Auburn. I just think right now I just think Auburn's the most balanced team left, and particularly with Johnny Broome, insane talent. I mean, in the Elite Eight, this dude goes out and gets hurt, and then just comes back and just picks up where he left off. I mean, he's a warrior, and that's what you want particularly in this type of situation from your best player, to come out and let nothing stop him, regardless of the matter at hand. I think Auburn's the most balanced team left. I will say this though, Florida, in particular, and how they play offense and how they move the ball, they gonna give Auburn hell. I mean, let's just keep it a buck. The Florida Auburn game is definitely going to be a game worth the price of admission. But I do think Auburn's the most balanced team left, and I'm going to give Auburn the edge to bring this thing home and win the Final Four, win the national championship.
I think Auburn will probably win this one. I think it's going to be a tough battle between them and Florida. I go Auburn 74, Florida 68. As for the one between Duke and Houston, because if you look at the game right now, Duke is a 4.5 point favorite.
That's reasonable.
I'm going to go Duke 70, Houston 62. And I think Duke will probably pull off the national championship. I think so. But let's continue on with basketball, fellas. The Naismith Hall of Fame, Carmelo Anthony. Not just Carmelo Anthony. It's just reported just now. Dwight Howard, Atlanta, Georgia's own, has been elected to the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. So, richfully deserving. Both of them well deserving of the Hall of Fame. Remember, folks, it's the Naismith Hall of Fame. It means they take everything into consideration: college, Olympics, professional level, everything else. When you look at Carmelo's career, he was hell of a scorer. Nice mid-range game. What he did in Syracuse as a freshman, winning the national championship in 2002, 3 Olympic gold medals, prolific scorer, 10-time NBA All-Star, a scoring champion. He is deserving of the Hall of Fame. And, of course, Dwight Howard. Even though he's gotten a lot of flack, a lot of criticism for his personality, things of that nature, you cannot disregard what he did during his time in Orlando. Without question, at that time, he was the best big man in the game. Despite how raw, how limited he was offensively, he averaged around 18 to 20 a game. He prevented us from seeing what we wanted to see, which was LeBron and Kobe in the finals. Let's not forget the puppet commercials that Nike, remember the little puppet commercials between LeBron and Kobe? Remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, that was fun to watch back in them days. And the Orlando Magic prevented that. So when I look at Dwight Howard, 3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 3 consecutive seasons, 08, 09, 10, has taken the Orlando Magic to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 times. Well deserving of the Hall of Fame. Dwight Howard, look, he got a lot of flack, a lot of criticism because from Orlando to LA. I think he just went to LA because of the market and because he wanted to get out of Orlando. It just didn't seem like LA. There was a lot of expectations because when you play that position, the center position, the big men, the George Mikins, the Wilt Chamberlains, the Kareem Abdul-Jabbars, the Shaquille O'Neals, I don't think Dwight Howard wanted to live up to that, nor to be the successor to, rest his soul, Kobe Bryant. Goes to Houston with James Harden. There were comparisons of a young Shaq and Kobe, but that didn't work out. Then he kept going around different teams. But the Lakers, when they won the championship during the bubble at that time, he was a key contributor for them, coming off the bench, rebounding, giving defense. I'm happy for both of those guys. They deserve the Hall of Fame. What are y'all thoughts on that?
Oh,
BRF,
you can go first.
My bad.
I'm so happy. You good. You good, champ. I'm so happy Dwight Howard got him. I am, because arguably the most athletic center in the history of the sport. Just all of his, just all his contributions. Like, yeah, you said three consecutive Defensive Player of the Year awards. I mean, to say top 5 defensive center of all time is not a stretch. It's not ridiculous. I do think it's a top 5 defensive center of all time. He wasn't the greatest scorer, but the fact that like you said, PSP, the fact that he was limited in his offensive skill set, but could still give you 20 and 10 a night, 2012, 2013, whatever it was, the fact that he could still give you that a night, and the defense, don't get me started about the defense. I mean, one of the scariest defensive centers ever, just like his rim protection, and it wasn't just his footwork underneath the basket on the defensive side of the ball, his athleticism, and being able to be the amazing rim protector that he was, but yet his athleticism on top of that just really magnified how good he was as a defensive player, as a rim protector. I mean, some of those defensive years as a player that he had in Orlando was just insane. When you think about the blocks and just the defensive rebounds and just being able to alter games just from getting into the lane, his ability to just change everything an offense did. I mean, I'm glad he got respected, and I'm glad he got recognized, and he definitely deserved to get into the Hall of Fame. Carmelo Anthony, I honestly think with Carmelo Anthony, he was almost at the point the NBA career alone could have got him there. I mean, yeah, we definitely look at his 1 year at Syracuse leading them to a national championship. We look at his Olympic play and with the 3 gold medals. But as an NBA player, he 10-time All-Star, made it to 2 conference finals. I mean, one of the greatest pure scorers that the NBA has ever seen. I'm glad he got in. I'm glad he's getting his flowers, because people need to understand. It's like you hear about Carmelo Anthony. What was he as dynamic as an offensive player as some of the other greats, like the Kobe's, the Mikes, the LeBrons? Was he as dynamic of an offensive player as a lot of those guys? No, he wasn't as dynamic, but the man was elite when it comes to, hey, 2 minutes to go in the game, I need a bucket. Carmelo Anthony is one of the clutchest players of the last 20 years at least. I mean, homeboy could go get you a bucket in the final minute of the game. He was that good at it. I hated he didn't win a championship in the NBA, but we're not going to discount the fact that Carmelo Anthony is one of the best clutch players we've seen in this generation. And I'm happy for him that he's getting into the Hall of Fame. I'm happy for him, and he absolutely deserves it. I mean, and looking at it though, and like I said, with Champ and myself, as well as you, PSP, like, now we're about to really start seeing our childhood enshrined in all these Hall of Fames, whether it be baseball, basketball, football. Like, I think what did it for me, like in terms of football, is seeing like Ray Lewis get in, seeing Brian Urlacher get in, seeing Brian Dawkins get in. Like, you're seeing our childhood guys get in, and it's just like, man, it's like you can't believe it was that long ago. And now in the NBA, now you're seeing AI get in, you're seeing Yao Ming get in, Carmelo, Dwight Howard getting in, you seeing D Wade get in. It's like, bro, it's crazy to think now that like all of our childhood guys that we grew up watching in these sports are now starting to get into the Hall of Fame. Like, and with baseball, like, I think what really hit me in terms of baseball was seeing Chipper Jones get into the Hall of Fame.
Yes.
Chipper Jones getting into the Hall of Fame really hit it for me. It was like, oh, we getting old. We getting old. But I mean, but that's honestly the beauty of life and the beauty of sports. Because I will put Chipper Jones up against any hitter, pure hitter in baseball. He's the second greatest switch hitter of all time, only to Mickey Mantle, and I'll put him up against anybody. But going back to the basketball, I'm happy for both of those brothers. I'm happy for both of them. They both deserve to get in. And just I feel like Carmelo's NBA career alone should have got him there. And then you factor in the Olympics in college. I mean, when you factor in the Olympics in college, it's a no-brainer. I think the NBA career alone is justified to get him in. And Dwight Howard, I think, is one of the 5 greatest defensive centers of all time, one of the most athletic centers of all time. And just his reign from I would say from about 06, 05 to I say 09 or whatever, before he left Orlando and went to the Lakers. An era of dominance of from a defensive player at the center position. It's which we don't see. So I'm very happy he's getting recognized for this. I'm glad at least one of them got a championship. Dwight Howard getting that championship with the Lakers. I don't even care if it was in the bubble. I feel like at the end of the day, a championship is a championship, because everybody that want to knock on the Lakers and winning that bubble championship, they all had the same advantages. They all had the same disadvantages. Why are we getting on the Lakers for winning that championship? Is it just because Braun was on that team? Everybody had the same advantages and disadvantages. I mean, and you hear a lot of people say one of the purest forms of basketball was played in the bubble, because you didn't have to worry about fans and anything like that. You just go out and hoop. So shout out to Carmelo and Dwight Howard. They definitely. I'm glad they both got in. Like I said, seeing now we're seeing our childhood get inducted into these Hall of Fames, and it's just. It's got that real sentimental value to it. So shout out to those brothers, man. They both deserve to get in the Hall of Fame, and I'm happy for both of them.
Champ?
Hey, man. Love to see Dwight Howard in there, man. That personality. Say what you will about his personality, his personal life, but that dude can play basketball. And the thing is, imagine what he would be today. Remember, during that time, it wasn't a lot of big men that was just really doing their thing back then. Tim Duncan, but, as far as, 7 foot the centers, it seems like he played in an era where centers were kind of on their way out, and it was venturing over in the small ball. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like the small ball era, and centers were considered a luxury more so than a necessity. And he was able to defeat that. And like I said, I mean, 3 Defensive Player of the Years in DPOY in a row, where he was able to lead that team to the NBA Finals. I mean, not a lot of Hall of Famers on that team neither. As far as the Orlando Magic, it wasn't like he had a plethora of Hall of Famers, a hell of a lot of All-Stars on there either. So he deserves a hell of a lot of credit for carrying that team. It was a huge carry job, and he helped them get to the NBA Finals. I'm glad he was able to get a ring, and I wish that, like I said, it seems like, although I'm happy for him playing and getting into the Hall of Fame, it seems like he played in the wrong era. I would love to see what Dwight Howard would be able to do in this era with that defense and with his ability and with his athleticism at his peak. Because like I said, he played in the era where everybody was venturing more to small ball rather than, saying the center, rather than people saying the game was playing from the inside in, from the inside out, not the outside in. So I'm glad that he made one. I'm glad he finally got a ring. Fortunately, it didn't work out in LA the first time, but it worked out the second time. So big ups to him. Carmelo, love to see that, man. Look, BRF, you know this for a fact. Everybody wanted the Carmelo braids in high school, bro. Everybody wanted the Carmelo braids in high school, bro. So his contribution.
You mean them AI braids too.
Yeah, everybody wanted the Carmelo and the AI braids in high school. So everybody wanted to score like Carmelo, man. I mean, he was not just a good basketball player. He's a cultural icon. So I'm glad that he made it to the Hall of Fame. He is the modern day Adrian Dantley, if you ask me. One of those guys that can really go and get you a bucket at any time. One of those guys that can really just go get you a bucket at any time. I mean,
big time scorer for those who may not know who Adrian Dantley is.
Yeah, played for the Utah Jazz and the Bad Boy Pistons, by the way.
Yes, he did.
So I think he's the modern day Adrian Dantley. I really feel like if you wanted a bucket, you get it to Carmelo. I hate that he did not get drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 2004. That way he could have started his career off with a ring. And I also hate that he didn't go to Chicago in order to play with Jimmy Butler and Derrick Rose when he was up for that contract. But be that as it may, he did what he felt was right. And he admitted that, look, I wasn't about to give up on that. I wasn't about to give up all of that just to go somewhere else.
Denver offered him a good amount of money. He didn't want to do that. And actually, Champ, he was supposed to, Stephen A. Smith has mentioned this numerous times. He was supposed to go to Miami. It wasn't supposed to be LeBron, D. Wade, and Bosh. It was supposed to be LeBron, D. Wade, and Melo.
Yeah. But I think it worked out how it was supposed to do, because the thing is, Carmelo was a scorer. So that would have been interesting to see. I think they got it right. I mean, that happened the way it was supposed to be. So, yeah.
No, I agree. Because, again, when you look at Chris Bosh, who I believe will go into the is he already in the Hall of Fame? But if not, he'll probably be in. Yeah. But Chris Bosh, his ability to stretch the floor, also his rim protection, unlike Melo. So, and also neither of them you look at them as great defenders. Bosh can give you that type of edge on the defensive side. But I'm happy for both of them.
Yes.
And Champ, I got an interesting question for you. Speaking of Dwight Howard, has Dwight Howard been disrespected too much? Because, again, remember, the NBA's top 75. You would think someone of Dwight Howard's resume should be in the NBA's top 75, as well as someone like a Kyrie Irving.
I have to say yes, but the thing is, when you think about centers, the talent pool is so deep that it's kind of hard to put him up in there. That's why I think that he's disrespected, because you have to ask yourself, who would you rather start your franchise with, Dwight Howard or Bill Russell? Would you rather start it with Dwight Howard or Wilt Chamberlain? Dwight Howard or, let's say, Shaq? Dwight Howard or
Hakeem?
That's the thing. Now, I would make the argument that he should have made it in there, and I like this player, but I really think that he should have made it in there over Bill Walton. I really think he should have made it in over Bill. So,
wow. Okay.
I think he should have made it in there, because if you really, really think about it, there was only like 2 magical seasons that Bill Walton had, and it was the 77 Portland Trailblazers and the 86 Celtics. He was part of 2 of the greatest teams of all time, but outside of that, it's like, where are you? I understand the injuries, but I think he should have made it in over him. But I think I think he's disrespected because of the amount of talent that centers had. Like I said, Bill Russell, you start with him and Wilt Chamberlain, then you go to Kareem, then you go to Shaq, then you go to Mutombo, then you go to David Robinson, then you start a whole lot of other things. So I think that he should have made it in there over Bill, but like I said, Bill Walton, one of the coolest guys you ever want to see. But I really think that he should have made it in there over him. But there's a lot of times it's not that guys are being disrespected. It's just that the talent pool is so deep that, it's kind of hard to put you in there. Remember, Dominique Wilkins, when they made the 50 greatest players of all time, he didn't get into that. When they had the 50 greatest players of all time in the 90s, the 50th anniversary of the NBA, they didn't have him in there. He didn't make it until they got to the 75 greatest players of all time. So there's the talent pool in the NBA is very, very deep over the course of being an all-time great player. So I don't think it's so much that players get disrespected, more so than the talent pool. And even with Kyrie, who would you rather have? Would you rather have him or Magic? Would you rather have him or Steph?
Yeah.
Would you rather have him or Oscar Robertson? Would you rather have him or, now you can pick and choose your battle between him and Isaiah Thomas or, John Stockton. You can pick your battles here and there, but you have to ask yourself, who would you rather have in those situations? I'm pretty sure a lot of modern basketball fans would say, I'd rather have Kyrie over Isaiah or Kyrie over Isaiah. Well, Kyrie over Isaiah and Kyrie over John Stockton. So it would really depend on who you at. It's really media and opinion based, but I think the talent pool is so deep, especially at the center position. It's so many cases for a lot of guys being all-time great. It's kind of hard to put them in the box because, like I said, when you think about the center position, even in the 80s, it was deep. Moses Malone, Robert Parrish, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Ralph Sampson, Akeem Olajuwon. That's 5 right there that you can just pick out and say, it's kind of, like I said, and remember, Ralph Sampson's not even a top 75 player of all time, but at his peak, he was great. So yeah. I don't think it's so much as a lot of the modern day guys being disrespected. It's just throughout history, certain positions are so deep, it's just kind of hard to put them in there.
Champ, what's so interesting about Dwight Howard, I'm reading the stat right here. For those who may not know, Dwight Howard, and he's been very open about this throughout his career, he did have a struggle with a candy addiction. It says here, former NBA player Dwight Howard famously struggled with a candy addiction, consuming the equivalent of 24 candy bars worth of sugar daily, which led to a nerve dysfunction and prompted a dietary intervention by the Lakers nutritionist Kate Shanahan. And Dwight Howard was still producing like that while eating 24 bars of candy.
I don't know. Some guys can do it. Some guys can. I don't know how he did that. 24 candy bars a day. I'm sleeping for the rest of the day. I'm just going to be real with him, sleeping for the rest of the day. Or either, I don't know. 20 sneaker. I don't know. I mean, that's diabolical. I mean, 20 candy bars a day? Oh, yep. Man. I can't imagine that, man. Big ups to Dwight Howard. I can't. That just goes to show you how these athletes are built so differently than the common man. And yeah, because 20 candy bars, I'm ready. Either I'm finna be jumping around the walls for the rest of the day, or either I'm going to sleep. So I don't know how that works. I mean, 20 candy bars. Then you got to get out there and run that court. Is your stomach not boiling? I mean. I have to ask that question.
Certain athletes, even Daddy Dennis mentioned Marshawn with them Skittles, Sherm with the Gushers, DK Metcalf eats tons of candy too. Let's not forget Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom ate a lot of candy back in his time with the Lakers. Champ, you would know a thing or two.
I don't think we're talking about the kind of candy he was on.
But no. Go look at the video. He actually ate a ton of candy throughout his time with the Lakers.
Oh, okay. We're talking about the right kind of candy.
No. Why would you think I was talking about that?
My fault. I apologize. Excuse me. I thought you were talking about that other candy that he was on. But my bad.
Lord.
I'm just
you gonna get the FCC or what? I need to have FCC airwaves. I mean, they're gonna get it on.
Like I said, I didn't look. When you start talking about Lamar Odom and candy, I automatically start thinking about the candy. I start thinking about the candy from Miami rather than the candy from Mars. My bad. We're talking about the sneakers candy, not the Charlotte Sheen candy. My bad. My fault.
You make me on this right now. Okay,
I didn't need to put you back on the bottle, PSP, because like I said, the first thing you brought up, you said candy. I'm like, wait a minute, what candy are we talking about here?
All right, fellas, let's move on with the new NFL rules. Champ, I'm gonna let you go first. The NFL rules, the touchback rules. It's now moved to the 35-yard line. The technology Remember, I mean, they're still going to use the chain gang, but as an alternative, they're going to heavily rely on technology as far as with the QB sneak, stuff like that. I do not want the tush push to be banned. I mean, the Green Bay Packers, they've advocated for the tush push to be banned. Even your head coach, Raheem Morris, has talked about it. And plus, there's been a report by the NFL proving there's no evidence of injuries of the tush push. Okay. So, and we've had conversations about the tush push before. Look, my thing is with the tush push, do I like watching it? No. But at the same time, if it works, I can't blame you. It's kind of like basketball, how people take away the most dominant player or the best player by putting them at the free throw line, the hack a Shaq. I don't like the hack a Shaq because it slows the game, but at the same time, I can understand from a competitive standpoint, you trying to win. So I can't knock you for using that. But the no swipe, they got again, CeeDee Lamb's no swipe, that's no longer there anymore. Otherwise, that's going to be a 15-yard penalty. What do you think about the new rules, champ? And of course, the overtime rules. Both teams have a chance to have the ball on overtime, 10 minutes. What do you make of the new rules?
Oh, look, I think it's a good thing that both teams get to have the ball at the end. I think that's a good thing. I think if that was the one thing that I could think that could make the NFL more competitive is that right there. As far as them wanting to ban a tush push, stop the play. Stop the play. I mean, that's the only thing I could say. Either think of a way to stop the play or, stop complaining about it. I really think that a lot of these teams, like I said, I've been on record and comparing it before. Remember when a lot of teams were lobbying in the commissioner's office, talking about how illegal that the no-huddle offense was back when Sam Weiss and Boomer Esiason was running it back in the late 80s. They start making a mockery of the game during that time. Even Marv Levy was talking about how he was gonna, go to the commissioner's office and say how illegal that was. That's what I compare the tush push to. It's an innovation that once everybody figures out how to run it, then it's going to be more of an innovation than a problem, much like the no-huddle offense was and the K-gun offense was. And ironically, the very team that complained about the no-huddle offense being used the entire game is the very team that revolutionized it once again in the 90s in the form of the Buffalo Bills when Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas went to 4 straight Super Bowls. So, yeah, it's an innovation. Figure out how to stop it. If there's no injuries involved in this and it's been proven, why are you so opposed to it? Figure out how to stop it or neutralize them to the point where they can't use it. Neutralize the team to the point where they can't use it. When they're in a 4th and 4 situation, it's a hell of a lot harder to use a tush push than when it's in 4th and 1. All I'm saying, stop somebody. This is not, like I said, and I've been on record saying this. Them trying to get this ban is sort of like them intentionally walking Barry Bonds. Them trying to ban the tush push is kind of like them intentionally walking Barry Bonds. Where's the competition in this? Figure out a way to stop it. Figure out a way to neutralize it. And who knows? Maybe the big defensive tackle that's coming out of Florida, I think his name is Desmond Thomas.
464 pounds.
Maybe he can be the revolutionary that gives a team a chance to stop the tush push. Maybe he can be that of this generation, but figure out a way to stop it. As far as the touchback rule, why are you giving teams almost half the field? You might as well just put them on the 40-yard line. They might as well. If you really want me to be honest with you, the team might as well just do an illegal procedure the entire game. They might as well just do a legal procedure because they're going to get on the 35-yard line anyway. Or they should squib kick the entire game. Because why are we giving teams the offense more of an advantage once again? We took it from the 20 to the 25. Now, then it was at the 30. Now it's at the 35-yard line. You're almost 3 plays within field goal range.
Mm-hmm.
When are we going to stop giving the offense the advantage all the time?
Well, Champ, here I'm reading it here from an article at the DallasCowboysNews.com regarding the touchback. The change to the rule comes on the touchback where the ball will now come out to the receiving team's 35-yard line if the kickoff results in a touchback. Last season, it came out to the 30. The goal is to incentivize more teams to stay away from touchbacks and increase the amount of returns.
Okay, well, we finna squib kick that thing the entire game. Go put you on the 20. So the thing is, touchbacks were considered at one point, a good thing. Now it's like, hey, I don't know what the NFL is doing. It seems like they're trying to do everything they can to get the offense the advantage. And then once the defense catches up with them, then they're going to try to implement another rule. You essentially just gave them hellified field position in order to, like I said, you essentially 3 plays out of field goal range.
I think they're just trying to make it more offensive friendly. But to your point, Champ, there's nothing really more that the offense can do. I mean, the defenses have evolved. They've gotten better. I mean, as much as we would love to see more fantasy football stats and numbers, NFL is just going to have to accept it for what it is. Too much. I mean, I'm all for change, but too much change can be a bad thing. And sometimes we just got to keep on with tradition. And I asked him the question in the group chat, should the tush push should be banned? Daddy Dennis said, I think so. It's a rugby play. He said standard quarterback will be destroyed doing it regularly. I think it's referring Desmond Ritter, the cream in a 2-ton of mankind sandwich, very scary. Sign an 80-pound player and then have 2 other players then throw 8 yards down the field, unstoppable. And 35-yard line seems extreme. But it seems like to me it's just more of a reason for offense to score more points. But at the same time, as much as we love seeing numbers and stats, eye-popping numbers, you're still ignoring the defense. And that's what I hate.
Yes.
And now you're underestimating the special teams, and you're taking away an opportunity for them to put food on their plate, clothes on their back. So now all of this. So what are you going to try to do now? I mean, we talked about the tush push several times, Champ. If you want to make all these changes, hell, play touch football. For all I care.
And you'll lose half of America if you do that. You'll lose half of them, more than half. What they need to stop doing is stop trying. I understand we're trying to attract more casual fans, the casual fan. But let's not get about the savants and the historians, the people who love the purity of the game. Because you remember when that foolish man, Mel Kiper.
Did we lose him?
I don't know.
Y'all remember when they said that? It was.
Oh,
no, I'm sorry. Mel Kiper said that.
Champ, you were kind of lagging a little bit. What did you say about Mel Kiper?
Y'all remember when Mel Kiper said last year? Can you hear me now?
No, we can hear you now.
Okay, you remember when Mel Kiper said last year when they had the 2 deep safety, the safety's high? He said that they should ban that because it's stopping the offense from throwing deeper passes. Like, you might as well ban the cover 2 if you was going to do that. That's all that is a modified version of the cover 2. And I'm a darn lineman, and I know that. So every time the defense catches up with the offense, whether than stopping it or making it so where a lot of these offensive coaches have to be innovative and things of that nature, they often change the rules. I remember when Tom Landry, when his offense wasn't very, very good, his offensive line was trash. I mean, garbage, hot garbage truck juice. Do you know what innovation came out because this offensive line was not that good? The shotgun offense. That's where innovation comes from. We have to make it so these coaches and these players have to be innovative. If you can't stop the tush push, hey, bring back the 46 defense in order to try to stop it. Load the gap. Rather than putting the defensive end in there, put 3 defensive tackles in there, see if you can stop them. One more goal line defenses in order to stop the run.
But my thing is, I'm sorry, go ahead, champ.
My bad. It's time that we stop trying to cater one side of the ball and let's take it back so these guys have to be innovative. Remember, Chad Pennington didn't have the strongest arm when he went to Miami because remember, Brett Favre had to take his place, right? He didn't have the strongest arm. What came out of that? The Wildcat. So let's make it so where these offensive coordinators and these offensive guys have to do their jobs. It's just like exactly.
I hate almost all the changes in sports over the last decade. It has all been motivated by making the game more fun for gamblers and casuals. And yeah, to your point, Chad, but when you talk about casualty, NFL, you already done as much with casualty. Hell, you got Taylor Swift coming to the Chiefs games. Anytime, whenever you see a Kansas City Chiefs game, and whenever you see Travis Kelce catching the ball, scoring a touchdown, they automatically gonna show Taylor Swift. You already getting the Super Bowls. You're getting casuals. I mean, you're getting Kendrick Lamar. Hell, you even got Serena Williams doing the crip walk during the Super Bowl. Heck, you've even got the performances and stuff like that. What more do you need? If you're taking away the pure nature of football, essentially, what are you doing to your diehard fans? That's like Vince Russo taking away the pure nature of wrestling and just focusing on the entertainment part. No wonder why, as Jim Cornette called them, bleep stains. Not going to use the exact term, but he did call them bleep stains for a reason. Yeah. So, and if you take away that pure nature of football, then essentially what you're going to do, you're going to alienate diehard fans like ourselves, and it's going to drive us to a point, should we watch this type of football? Or better yet, let's watch something else.
Yeah, and people are already on the fence about it as well. So, look, it's always good to draw new fans in. Always good. And you know that offense and the quarterbacks are going to draw those in. And another reason why I think that, and this is a hot take, this is probably the hottest take that I'm ever probably going to have. I think another reason why they're trying to give the offense the advantage, a lot of these quarterbacks that are coming out in the draft, we saw over the past few years, they're underprepared. Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, just to name a few. A lot of these quarterbacks that are coming out of college, they're unprepared. They're not prepared as the guys who came before them.
A lot of them haven't been watching film.
Yeah, they're very unprepared. And guess what? When these new quarterbacks are coming in the league, they're not used to the systems. They haven't been in a system long enough in order for them to adjust themselves. They've been going through the transfer portal a lot. So when they get to the NFL, they're very underdeveloped. They're very unprepared. And guess what? They're trying to make sure that the defenses don't catch up with these unprepared quarterbacks, and so they can have the viewership. Like I said, I believe a lot of this moving the goalposts for the offense stems from these newer quarterbacks being very much unprepared. They're not prepared. So they're going to try to dumb it down for them as much as possible to make them seem a little bit better than what they really are. So I think that's a lot of what these offensive changes is for. Because of, like I said, these underdeveloped and underprepared quarterbacks that are entering the league. Because as of lately, we saw C.J. Stroud, we saw Jaden Daniels, but look at what we saw in the form of Bryce Young up until recently, I would say. Look at what we saw in the form of Will Levis. Look at what we saw in the form of Anthony Richardson. A lot of these guys are unprepared at the quarterback position. So they're trying to give them more of an advantage so that the defense won't, so they won't crap out when it comes to the defense catching up with them. So that's what I believe a lot of these offensive changes is for.
BRF.
I don't know how to really feel about it because, like, I was against the initial, like, the whole. They're doing a little too much for my liking. Like, if it ain't one thing, it's another thing. We cut this, we change this. Oh, this ain't working. Let's change this. It's like you're gonna run out. It's like almost like you're gonna run out of options. Like you hope you just find something and stick with it and hope that it works without having to like change how this operates and change how this operates every day. I mean, it's too much. It's a lot. And yeah, you really. I mean, for all intents and purposes, if you want to thank Devin Hester for this, absolutely. Because I mean, him having that season he had back in like 06, like that season like 06 when the Chicago Bears went to the Super Bowl, like he made it look easy to a lot of people when it's really not that hard to return kicks and punts at the level that he did. So the touchbacks going to the 35, I mean, yeah, you kind of get that sense like, oh, well, offense is starting to build some momentum. Okay, let's stop it. Let's say, hey, we're about to order these, and these. We're going to have these available for you guys. And I'm just like, it's one of those you just say, okay, and you just keep it pushing. But, I mean, honestly, though, it's me personally, they should have just left it the way it was instead of always trying to change this and change that, unless they already see like a drastic improvement as far as like, behavior and stuff like that. But still, I don't know. It's just I don't know. I feel like with this rule change and stuff, they doing a little too much. They doing a little too much for me. And they should have I mean, like it's just like I said, going back to Devin Hester, it's crazy how one man has just single-handedly changed the outlook of how you look at special teams and how it operates. It's like it's like you have to, like, nowadays you have to be like the fact that you're barely getting kickoffs come your way, you're barely getting opportunities because everything has really been touchbacks. I mean, I was always all for like the kick returns and the punt returns and the guys that specialized that and did it like really, really well. The Brian Mitchells of the world, the Joshua Cribbs, you got just guys like that who specialize in the art of the special teams return, and the Allen Rossums of the world. Yeah, like you're not like, yeah, you're not, unless somebody is just like in tune and just knows what they're doing, you're not really gonna see those guys really kind of like, you're not gonna see those guys really stand out because the opportunities aren't gonna be there. And yeah, like the offense getting the ball at the 35-yard line is like, oh man, the defense starting to catch us, starting to get a little edge. Okay, boom, let's do this. Offense is instantly starting on the 35-yard line on the touchback. It's like, oh, great, yeah. Another way you try to turn it in the hands of the offense to give them the advantage. Oh, great, yay, good job, Roger Goodell, you go. So me personally, I'm just I am not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of that rule change personally. I just feel like starting it on the 35 is just the 30 is bad enough. When you get like the 35-yard line, it almost feels like a little overkill. It's almost like you're welcoming the offense at that point. If you kick it, the only thing I'll say, it will force the kicking teams to really kind of, I would say, get a little more air on it as opposed to just aiming it to get a touchback. Because the way a lot of these offenses are, they can take it at the 35-yard line, score 3 plays. So yeah, I don't like the rule change personally, but I don't know. I was always a big fan of the kick return and the punt returner. So seeing them just keep kind of like throwing stuff on. I kind of hate it. But I mean, like I said, if moving it to the 35 is going to give kick returner, like punt returners, and well, kick returners for that matter, if it's going to give them more of an opportunity to really try to shine and really kind of flip field position and kind of get numbers and whatnot, then I'm for it. But even still, though, I'm not like, I don't know, I'm not a fan.
BRL, can I ask you a question real quick?
Shoot it.
When Allen Robinson was playing bad, what did you call him?
When he was playing bad?
Yeah.
What did we call him?
Because I remember when he was playing bad, me and my dad used to call him Allen Possum. So
I never went that far with Allen Robinson. I never went that far. But
we used to call him Allen Possum when he was playing bad.
Wow. Shout out, dude. He's an Atlanta Falcons legend. He's one of the greatest kick return. He's greatest punt returners of all time. Shout out to Allen Robinson, man. Shout out to the great Allen Robinson, man. The fact that we can even get his name mentioned on anything, just shout out to him. One of the most underrated special teamers in the history of the sport. Shout out to Allen Robinson.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Daddy Dennis, he continued with some comments. He said, need to stop running third and fourth stringers down at full speed, just asking for trouble. 20 was fine, 25 a bit too much, 35 is this football? So appreciate you, Daddy Dennis, for all these comments, man. But also another thing, the Kansas City Chiefs, they've requested to be the team for Christmas games. I don't mind it. And I was checking out Undisputed World Champ. Shout out to Undisputed World Champ. Go follow him on TikTok. The man is a lot of things. Knows his sports. He's also pastor champ. I mean, he could definitely serve as a pastor, as a preacher. He could be a teacher. He could be a professor. He could be a lot of things. And
that was the wrong P word I was thinking about, but that's a whole nother conversation.
But as
I condemn thee.
As I was saying, look, I don't have a problem with the Kansas City Chiefs being the team to cover on Christmas because you have a lot of things to your factor. You have the best quarterback in Patrick Mahomes, who is our generation's Tom Brady. Andy Reid, beloved head coach. I mean, brilliant offensive mind, lovable guy. He'll probably draw up some type of play, probably a cheeseburger or a corn dog play, as he mentioned in the Super Bowl when they beat the Eagles a couple of years ago. You got Travis Kelce. You got Taylor Swift coming to the games. You also had big-time celebrities coming to the games, like one in particular, Caitlin Clark.
Mm-hmm.
And also off the field. You know, that just as they're liked, they're also disliked because Patrick Mahomes, his family, his wife, his brother, his parents, the preferential treatment that they get from the referees, everything else that goes along the way with the Chiefs' favor. Yeah, they are the lower market version of the Dallas Cowboys. And look, Dallas Cowboys, they've been doing Thanksgiving games since what, 1966. So why not for a new turnaround? Why not have the Christmas games for the Kansas City Chiefs, whether on the road or at home? I mean, the Lakers, they have the Christmas games, and that's because of how big the Lakers brand is. And the Kansas City Chiefs, they've won Super Bowls. They've been to Super Bowls. So if anybody who is well deserving of requesting to have the games covered on Christmas Day, it should be the Kansas City Chiefs because of what they've accomplished, the attention that they bring both on and off the football field. I don't mind it. And I think it will actually be entertaining. And plus, we talked about last year. We talked about it. NBA, NFL. 24 million, a little over 24 million. I think 24 million tuned in to watch the Steelers Chiefs game. 24 million. A little over 24 million tuned in to watch the Ravens Texans game on Netflix. And another 27 million tuned in to watch Beyonce perform on the halftime show. So if you're the NFL, you're all about making money. And Taylor Swift brings in a lot of attraction. She is a billionaire. Why not if you're the NFL? I think it would definitely benefit having them for the Christmas games because they've won Super Bowls. They've been a dynasty. They're still going to compete for Super Bowls, even though they haven't made big time moves. Losing Joe Thuney does hurt them as far as their offensive line, but still, champ, they're still going to be the team coming out of the AFC West, let alone the AFC. So why not the Kansas City Chiefs?
Yeah. And the thing is this. You have to think about this. Much like the Cowboys, there's never been a long period of time where the Kansas City Chiefs have been bad.
And just like the Cowboys, champ, a lot of problems and distractions.
Yeah.
And we still talk about that.
Yes, indeed. Plus, they're in flux right about now because guess what? They may not be in Kansas City, Missouri anymore. They might be in Kansas City, Kansas. So there's a lot of things that's going on with Kansas City at this point. They're trying to get a new stadium, and what better way to get a new stadium than win some Super Bowls? But yeah. I think they can very well be the new Dallas Cowboys of the Christmas, because not to get religious on the show, but what brings people together more than God, family, and football? What brings families together more than that? Nothing. Especially when you add some of the celebrities that they add in the mix. I mean, last year they had Beyonce on there. You gonna attract casual fans with that name alone. Shout out to Beyonce, by the way. But on Christmas, you have one of the greatest teams, and I don't think people think that this is what I don't like about casuals. People don't realize how instrumental the Kansas City Chiefs, even way back when, was to the NFL. They're just as instrumental to the NFL as the Dallas Cowboys were, as far as viewership, as far as history. Remember, in the first 4 Super Bowls, Kansas City Chiefs played in 2 of them. Fred the Hammer Williamson, Black Caesar, he played for the Kansas City Chiefs. One of the greatest black wrestlers of all time, Ernie Ladd, who did he play for? The Kansas City Chiefs. There's a reason why that the American Conference Trophy, the AFC Championship game, is called the Lamar Hunt Trophy.
I'm sorry, Lamar Hunt.
Yeah. There's a reason why it's called a Lamar Hunt Trophy. So when you think about the historic value that it would bring, when you think about how good they are as a franchise, because like I said, there's only been a few times in my lifetime that I have ever seen the Kansas City Chiefs where they were just horrible. Mm-hmm. Whether it was the Marty Schottenheimer era, whether it was the Billy Cunningham era, whether it was the Vic Vermeil era, or even the Herm Edwards era, it was rare that they were just so bad that they were just unwatchable. Same thing with the Dallas Cowboys. They may not have been winning Super Bowl, but it's been very, very rare that they've been so bad where they're unwatchable. So the biggest thing for that, I think that the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the most historic teams in the NFL, played in the first Super Bowl against the Green Bay Packers, has the face of the league in the form of Patrick Mahomes, and a lot of the stewardship and a lot of the celebrity appeal. I think that it should be the shoe-in for a Christmas Day game. And like I said, what brings families together more than God, family, and football? You thank God for the gift that He gave you for another year to see another year. You exchange present, and you gather the family up. You have dinner and sit in front of the TV and watch Patrick Mahomes throw for 300 yards. What could be better than that?
Joy Taylor?
See, you started stuff again. I don't like it. Hey, look. You can have an invitation to the Christmas party at any time, George Taylor. I got a dress for you too, baby. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it'll be from Fat. Hey, sundress season right around the corner too, by the way, George. So keep that in mind. But I digress.
Shout out to Justine.
Oh, leave it to Jay. Shout out to Red Rule Sports. Leave it to Jay to say that. That is that is priceless.
There's a reason why you call my show the highlight of Friday nights.
There's a reason. Oh man, these pipe bombs lately are crazy. But
Hey, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, God, family, football, and George Taylor. Yeah. On Christmas Day. So
BRF.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy, Lord. Lord, are we still talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and the Christmas and all that?
Yes.
We are, yeah. You know what? I don't have a problem with it because I mean, around that time of the year anyway, considering the weather and how that is that time of the year, Kansas City to me is one of the more, particularly Arrowhead, when it's like snowing down. It's like one of the more photogenic sites to really see as far as like winter weather and the snow and all that. So I don't have a problem with them wanting to be the, I guess if you want to call them the Christmas. I even hate to put them and the Dallas Cowboys in the same sentence, but if they really want to be the Christmas Day version of the Dallas Cowboys, I don't think that there's another franchise out there right now that deserves it more than them. In terms of if you want to look at it like when the Cowboys were winning in the 90s, seeing how the Kansas City Chiefs are winning now, with with the Patrick Mahomes already having this team already having 3 championships, the success and just everything that they've done and the notoriety that they've gained along the way. I don't have a problem with them wanting the Christmas Day game because I mean right now, I guess I'm looking at it like which team are you gonna want to watch more than the Kansas City Chiefs, like almost most weeks, let alone the Christmas games. So I'm for it. I'm definitely for it. So I don't have a problem with them wanting to designate themselves as the Christmas Day team, playing on Christmas Day every year. Like I said, the environment of Kansas City in December, and just the style of football that you're going to see. Like even with the Kansas City Chiefs, and you're still going to see good football played around Christmas. So I have no problem at all with them wanting to be the Christmas game. There's really not too many other, if not any other teams you're going to want to watch ahead of them anyway, in terms of just sheer popularity and just the sheer success that they've had over these past few years. So I don't have a problem with it.
All right. Daddy Dennis says it's a bully move on the NBA and NFL taking lunch money.
Well, it's definitely after last Christmas after Christmas Day. Yeah, it kind of is a bully move on the NBA, on taking it to the NBA, but wanting one team be the rep for Christmas. Man, yeah, there's some weight to that.
Well, to the champ's point, he's mentioned it numerous times. The NFL, a lot of great narratives, and a lot of great narratives for the NFL. You had the reigning Super Bowl champion going up against a cornerstone franchise like the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had Baltimore Ravens versus the Houston Texans, 2 playoff caliber teams. Lamar Jackson in the discussion for the MVP going up against the Houston Texans. Not to mention Beyonce performing in her hometown of Houston, Texas. So there's a lot of things to add on to that. But NFL is going to do whatever it takes, man. But I don't have a problem with the Chiefs because, as you mentioned, champ, the Lamar Hunt Trophy, they have that. They have championships. They have a lot of things to look for, both on and off the football field. And they're still going to be the team in the years to come until Mahomes and Reed, Kelsey, all of them are gone. And plus, we talk about second chapter. We've seen the first chapter. Let's see the second chapter with the Kansas City Chiefs, which it makes it more exciting. So we'll go on to that. But folks, one of my favorite topics I love discussing with the crew, babyface or heel. Now, for those who may not know what babyface heel means, babyface in wrestling terminology means a good guy hero. Heel means a bad guy villain. Tweener, you're in between. So I came up with a list of celebrities or athletes, and myself, Champ, and BRF are going to decide whether they are babyface, heel, or tweener. The first athlete, Ja Morant of the Memphis Grizzlies. I will go first. He is a tweener. He is a heel because, again, the controversy, the situation with the gun celebration, the shooting celebration. NBA Adam Silver, they just fined him for the second one. After in the Miami game, they fined him $75,000. I was kind of happy that Ja didn't have to face a suspension. He was going to be put on notice, considering that the NBA, which they're taking into consideration, just like the NFL, with the celebrations. Remember, CeeDee Lamb's celebration, the nose wipe celebration, they can't do that anymore. That's a gang connotation. So the first time with Ja Morant, you give him the benefit of the doubt. I thought he was going to be at least fine, Champ. You and I, we had private conversations about the first time, but I was kind of glad that Commissioner Adam Silver decided not to fine him nor suspend him. But he did it again. Last night against the Miami Heat, he was going to be fined $75,000. And when you look at Ja Morant's history, Dwayne Coleman, he said it himself best. I have the comment right here. Ja Morant trying to be like NBA YoungBoy because of all the gun stuff. Heck, if he continues down this road, he'll end up like Tekashi 6ix9ine. Hope not. But when I look at Ja Morant, tremendous talent, tremendous potential. He's put on notice. He is lucky as hell we are not talking about David Stern. Because if David Stern, if he were the commissioner, Ja Morant's ass would be at home right now.
20 games minimum.
But he is also a babyface. Because despite all the situations with Ja, the gun situation, the first suspension was like the 8 games. And then the second one, which he was with the video in the car holding the gun, 25 games. Ja Morant is also a babyface because he's fun. He's exciting. He's electric. Whenever he says, it's a parade inside my city, yeah. Or him and his daughter, which is a beautiful thing to see. And sorry, Anthony Edwards, but the video of the mama telling the kid, put them Anthony Edwards sneakers back. Pay them you gonna get them Ja Morant sneakers. Ja Morant at least take care of his kids. I'm sorry, but again, they were going. That adds to the babyface with Ja Morant because say what you want about Ja Morant, at least he's around taking care of his kids. At least he's involved in his kid's life. So he does kind of have that impact on a younger generation, even though he gets involved in a lot of situations with the gun celebration. I think Ja is just young, naive, immature. He's a tweener because even though he gets himself involved with a lot of controversy, and I hope he stops because, again, he's already on thin ice with the NBA with all the other stuff. But at the same time, he's also a babyface. Kids love him. They idolize him. He's electric. His dunking ability. He's the type of person we would love to see at the dunk contest. He's the type of person. His playing style is kind of like watching a young Derrick Rose or a young Russell Westbrook in terms of how quick, how explosive he is, how athletic, how he could jump, the shoes. And on top of that, his personality. So he's a tweener.
Yeah, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with that on Ja Morant. I definitely think he's a tweener. I mean, yeah, like you gotta. I guess if you want to look at the heelish aspects of the stuff that can get him booed, is just the constant warning with the gun selling, and he's still doing it, knowing past just transgressions that he's been involved with. So that there is kind of like the real kind of unheart just I'm trying to figure out how to say it. It's kind of like that side that kind of like rubs people the wrong way, and not do they want would they cheer for him and all that other stuff. So that's kind of the part of him that's like you kind of look down upon and frown upon. But his game is just and honestly, part of that is like I think Don, yeah, like I just saw it on the comment there. Yeah, Ja is gonna he's gonna do his own thing. He's gonna be himself, and he's not necessarily worried about he's not necessarily worried about what people think of him and stuff like that. I think kind of rocking out to the beat of his own drum. As far as how he lives his life on a daily basis, kind of also makes you want to root for him as well, because it's kind of like the whole it's like him going out there doing his thing, not worried about what people are thinking about him, not worried about people judging him. He's just going out doing, playing basketball and being one of the better point guards of the league when he's healthy and he's out there. So, and that's, just his jumping ability, his highlights, like all of his like I've never seen a guy in a highlight. I've never seen a guy in a highlight film with so many almost dunks in my life. Like John Morant is like the king of the almost dunk. Because either because it's almost like either he dunks it in and the foul gets called, or he's going for an end game ridiculous, putting it on somebody's head, and it don't really work out. I mean, I think his athleticism and his will, I think it's one of those things. It's like a couple of characteristics that you root for Ja, and you want to see him succeed. So yeah, I gotta agree with PSP. I definitely think he's a tweener, because there's good and bad to Ja, and it's like if you're not into him, a lot of times the bad stuff is what's gonna steer you away from him. But then if you root for him, it's like him being himself and living his life and all that is gonna be one of those things you really want to cheer for him for. So, but yeah, Ja for me is a tweener.
Champ?
The 2019 draft class needs to be studied. Got one guy who is addicted to wisdom teeth and the other guy addicted to pew-pews. What's going on? What's going on? I need to know.
And you talk about my pipe bombs?
Yeah, I'm just saying. One guy addicted to wisdom teeth, don't want to stay in the gym, and the other guy just can't just stop thinking about himself as the second coming of NWA.
Chat remember me with the wisdom teeth. That's epic.
That needs to be studied. But in all seriousness, though, to be serious, I'll say tweener. As bad as I want to lean towards the heel, I'll say tweener. Because with him is really the Allen Iverson effect, if you really want me to be honest with you.
Yes.
If you ask one of the guys, from our neighborhood, hey, you like Ja Morant? Yeah, man, and you doing it on the court and you doing it just like him. It's like the Fab Five Allen Iverson effect with him. If you are a button-up corporate guy, you don't like Ja Morant. If you're one of the guys that that was around him and his community and the community, you love Ja Morant. Me personally, I literally wish that you would leave them pew-pews alone. Stop gesturing them pew-pews, because to be honest with you, and this is just me, this is not me just being an old head talking, you're costing yourself money. And you're within the next 3 years, and you're like 2 to 3 years away from that next contract. I don't want to see you ruin that because you want to keep gesturing pew-pews. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want you to jeopardize that. It's just like, it's kind of like looking at me watching Ja Morant. It's kind of like looking at one of my nephews. He's talented, he's great, but it's just like, bro, like, leave that pew pew stuff alone. You don't need to do that. I mean, in the when he was on that IG live video with the pew pew, it's just like, bro, leave it alone. You don't need it. But generations are different. Back when I was younger, that was considered bad. Nowadays, with a lot of stuff going on, that's considered okay by collective consciousness. But like I said, if you're doing that, you're playing with fire because you're costing yourself money. Not just on the basketball court, but off the basketball court. If Ja Morant didn't do the celebration and didn't do all of, and I love hip hop, then didn't do all the pew pew stuff, can you imagine how many endorsements he would have additionally? That's the thing. People are so against being all buttoned up until they see how much the button up guys are making. There's a reason why Michael Jordan made more money off the basketball court than he made on the basketball court. He didn't let people see him in a certain light. Now, granted, we all know that Michael Jordan used to gamble and play cards and stuff like that and smoke cigars, but that wasn't considered heinous. You have to read the room. You have to think about what's going on in the country and what has gone on in the country. BRF, you know what I'm talking about because you live in Georgia. We just had some things going on in Georgia not too long ago at a high school. We had a lot of situations that occurred in New York and in Middle America, and a lot of the biggest tragedies in American history came because of pew-pews. So you have to think about that and how America, as well as a lot of fans, are looking at that. But on the flip side of that coin, if you are an NBA Youngboy fan and you see your favorite basketball player doing that as well, then guess what? You think that's cool. But if you're my age and you are worried about this young man's future and the image that he's portraying, you think that he's playing with fire. That's why I call him a tweener. Because do I think he's playing with fire? Yes. Do I think you should be doing that in public, consider what's going on? No. Not at all. Because guess what? That's sending a bad image to a little 15-year-old that's at a basketball tournament right now. Do you really want your 15-year-old kids doing that? No. Are they going to because they saw Ja Morant do it? Yeah. So you have to think about everything as a collective when you call him a tweener. Do I want to lean towards heel? Yeah. Because like I said, I think a lot of stuff is unnecessary. And if you look into Ja Morant's background, you're really not that guy. If you get what I'm trying to say. You're really not the trenches type of guy. So that's just my thing. You don't have to be something that you're not. I mean, you're not gangster, and you don't have to be that. And you doing that on the basketball court, and with people watching you, especially young men watching you, they're going to think that's okay. And what's going to happen if somebody? Because you have to think about this. What's going to happen if a young kid does that celebration, that exact same celebration, and then a tragedy strikes after the game?
They're gonna look at him as an example.
Exactly. So don't think that us old heads are just telling you stuff that y'all just old. No, we've seen this stuff happen before. Remember, Allen Iverson was criticized a lot of time. Remember the Oakland Raiders was criticized. The Oakland Raiders themselves was criticized because of a lot of gang culture. Al Davis didn't have no idea that the Oakland Raiders jacket was being related to gang culture. But yet they blamed him for gang culture. Not to mention, people love the starter jacket. the starter jacket from back in the day, but people was actually getting unalive for that very, very jacket.
Whew, Lord.
So you have to think about every little thing when you are portraying something. Because like I said, imagine if one of these young kids, 15, 16 years old, watching Ja Morant, who's probably their favorite player, got the Memphis Grizzlies jersey on. He sees him do it one night, and then the very next night, he does that. And he does it at the wrong place. Then right after, somebody gets unalived. That same kid who was 15 years old with the Ja Morant jersey on. Who do you think they're going to point to and blame? They're going to blame him. Now, he may not know, and he doesn't know that kid from Adam. So that's the thing. You have to think about what you're betraying when you're in these corporate settings. Like I said, there's a reason why Michael Jordan is a billionaire. There's a reason why Magic Johnson is a billionaire. There's a reason why LeBron James is a billionaire. There's a reason why, even although I disagree with some of his tactics, there's a reason why Tiger Woods became a billionaire.
Yeah.
They were very, very conscious about the way people perceived them.
Absolutely.
So, guess what? If you want that type of status, you have to watch every little thing that you do. And you pointing in the crowd, as far as pew-pews is concerned, then, hey, it's going to set a bad example that people are going to label you as such. So I have to say tweener at this point.
Daddy Dennis says need to let the kids know athletes are not clergy. Charles Barkley voice. Champ, also another reason you can make an argument here because of his father too. You should know this. I'm surprised you didn't bring this up because you were a Lakers fan. Remember the situation a couple of years ago with Ja Morant, his father, and the Memphis Grizzlies going after Shannon Sharpe at that Lakers game?
Yeah, and that's what happens when that's what happens when you have a father like that rather than having a father like Barry Sanders. Remember what Barry Sanders' daddy told him: "I ain't your friend, I'm your father." So that's what happens when you have a situation like that. Now, granted, they shook hands like me in the very, and they all hugged it out and sang "Kumbaya." But the thing is, a lot of situations like that is not supposed to happen. You don't see Dale Curry getting into situations like that with anybody. You don't see, even LeBron James up until he got into it with Stephen A. You don't see him conducting and stuff like that. Every person's father who came to the game, they kept it. They was a spectator. You didn't see them get into that. But like I said, that's what happens. And like I said, I even talked to my father about that. That's what happens. Hey, can't be these kids' friends, especially when your son have millions of dollars on the line. This millions. This is generational wealth. This is going to be here after me. You're going to have to set the tone for the next 3 generations. You don't have to act like that in the game. I mean, so what? Somebody said you can't guard somebody. Who cares? Let it go. Watch the game. Be a parent.
Mm-hmm. All right, next one. Charles Barkley. And hold on, there's a comment right there from Giants fan 56 popped in to hit the like button. Have a great stream. Thank you, Giants fan 56. Appreciate the comments. Charles Barkley. I'll go. I can understand how a lot of young people will look at Charles Barkley and say heel because kind of like Shaq, he's the grumpy old guy, get off my lawn, criticizing a lot of young players, particularly for not playing hard, not giving enough effort, because he was very critical on a lot of players, particularly the Philadelphia 76ers, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But he's also a baby, and also because of his political stances from time to time, some of the political stances, the things that he said in the past. But he's also a baby face. Charles Barkley, whatever you want to say about him, he's as real as it gets. Man, I agree with him, but he's as real as he gets. He doesn't give a damn what anyone has to say. And if you have a problem with what he has to say, he has no problem with you having a conversation with him. Just don't get personal with him. And not to mention, he is comical, hysterical. I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this. I love me some of them. I love me them big women, but how the way he gets after the woman in San Antonio.
You just got. You gonna get him kicked out the damn. You gonna get him kicked out the damn.
The way he talks about them big old women from San Antonio.
You gonna get him kicked out the L. You gonna get him.
Hey, I'm not lying, but anytime, whenever he talks about the women in San Antonio, and he talks about Victoria's Secret, and now there's a creek down there, Shaq. In all of my time watching Shaq on TV, I've never seen him laugh so hard on TV. And then, of course, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for it too, but I don't care. When he mentioned about the whole Jussie Smollett situation back in 2019.
On this episode of the City of Lies.
I'm sorry, man. Charles Barkley is hysterical. And then when he said about analytics, how folks with analytics didn't get the girls in high school.
I mean, he ain't lied when he said that, though. You know what I'm saying?
He ain't lying when he said that, but that's the thing I love about Charles Barkley. I don't know if BRF heard what I said.
No, I did not. I had to leave for a little bit. I was coming back. No, what did you say exactly?
I said Charles Barkley is a tweener. He's a heel because of the generation, the modern generation, how they look at him as the type of person, get off my front lawn, how the way he's critical of the modern players like Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, stuff like that. But he's also a tweener because he's as real as he gets. And I'm sorry, I'll say it again. The way he talks about them big old women in San Antonio and how he talks about them churros and how he talks about Victoria's Secret, how it's a creek down there. Whoever wants to go.
Oh, man. That's crazy. That is crazy. That's crazy.
Colorful.
Oh, man.
You can say
heel. I gotta say heel, but Charles has always been an anti-hero.
Yeah, though I am not a role model commercial.
Yeah, he's always been an anti-hero. He's never been the role model. Although I will say this. In the process of him saying, I am not a role model, he ended up being a role model. I'll say that again. In the process of him saying, I am not a role model, he ended up being a role model. Because what he said was true. It's kind of like, look, Charles Barkley, I say here, it's kind of like that honest uncle who's going to tell you, you don't like his delivery, but he's going to tell you every single thing that you need to know. It's kind of like that honest uncle. You don't like his delivery, but you're going to go ask him for that advice. And unfortunately, his delivery is blunt. He has no filter. And that's what makes you hate him and love him all at the same time. He's the lovable heel. You know, I mean, he was right on the money with what he said about Zion Williamson. Hey, if I was making $200 million, I'd be anorexic by now. Did he lie?
You probably would have done the same thing.
Yeah, but $200 million, I go on a liquid diet right now. So I'm just gonna be real. I wouldn't be eating nothing but Jell-O. And I ain't even talking about the red kind. I'm talking about that green kind. I mean, that, you know, with the pineapples in it, they used to give you at school. You know, so I'm just being real. $200 million, yeah, you go on a liquid diet right now. I ain't eating nothing but soup. But he tells the truth, and it offends people at times, but it's true. And I understand that a lot of his a lot of his political beliefs and a lot of things that he says may be misplaced because guess what? A lot of times we don't want to hear it. Guess what? Just because you don't want to hear something doesn't mean you don't need to hear it. PSP, you tell me every day before, you know, because I'm on the gym. You tell me every day, stay away from the fridge. That's what I need to hear. Stay away from the fridge. You know, you and the AI Obama, y'all tell me, stay away from the fridge, big homie. I'm like, yeah, exactly. So that's why I stay away from the damn fridge.
I only brought that up because you the one who keeps being hard on your weight. You tell me my fat, you know what, all this other stuff. You brought it up.
But the thing is, I don't lie. The thing is, I'm not gonna sit around here and pretend body positive. No, I'm fat. I need to lose some damn weight. That's why I started going to the gym every day. So that's the thing. Tell the truth. I mean, we're too sensitive nowadays. It's like, bro, I'd rather you be honest with me about something than for you to lie to me and have me looking like a fool. It's kind of like, I'll give you an example. Like Kobe Bryant said, it's kind of like us being at the dinner table and I have something in my teeth and it's showing like crap. Are you ready to have that uncomfortable moment for me to tell you you have something in your teeth, or do you want to walk around the restaurant looking stupid all day?
I have to tell you, I have to call it what it is.
Exactly. I just call it like it is. I say, I don't mind making fun of it because guess what? It's true and you're doing something about it. That's just the thing. That's just the thing. I encourage it. It's like, hey, the more people say something about it, the more you're anxious to make a change. And I think that's what Charles Barkley is. It's like people may disagree, people may not agree, but guess what? He's honest. And like I said, the only thing that makes him a heel, in my humble opinion, is his tone. But like I said, he's like that uncle that you go to when you want to seek advice, when you don't want to talk to your father, when you don't want to talk to your mother. You go to that one uncle and you talk to him, and he's going to give you a blunt answer. And that answer may not be what you want to hear, but it's going to be what you need to hear. And I call him a heel because of that, because that delivery, it's sharp and it's stinging. And a lot of people, especially these days, can't handle it.
That's true.
It's evident a lot of pushback from a lot of the modern day NBA players. A lot of people can't handle that. And like I said, he never claimed to be a role model, and he was absolutely on the money. Don't depend on athletes in order to raise your children. So he was right on the money. So a lot of things he said is right on the money, but the way he goes about it sometimes, it stings. It's like, yeah, you might be right, but you could have worded that a little bit better. And that's what people are going to point at in order to label him a heel. That's why I call him a heel.
But I think he's relatable, champ, because even though he may not say it the way they want to hear it, but at the same time, if he's the type of person you want to have a conversation with, it's him. Media, they would much rather want to talk to Chuck than Michael. Michael's more quiet and shy compared to the media than Chuck. Chuck's the life of the party. Chuck's the type of person you can have a conversation with, have some pizza or beer, or in his case, driving around midnight and having himself some Krispy Kremes. By the way, that hot sign, if you go to Krispy Kremes with that hot sign, you got to stop.
I can't tell you how many red lights I've ran trying to get to that hot sign. But yes, I understand your point, champ, as the heel, because he's the type of person that's going to give you some tough love. But I also think he's a tweener because he's relatable, he's comical, he's hysterical. I love him because he does not give a damn what he has to say. And look, for people who may question his political reasons, look, a very certain individual who we all love and revere as a wrestler, The Undertaker. Now, I don't agree with his position regarding the president, but at the same time, is that going to stop me from having a conversation with him about wrestling or anything else? No, I'm still going to have a conversation with him because Taker's a man of integrity. It's not like I'm having a conversation with Hulk Hogan or somebody like that. Whereas with Taker's a man of his word. And Charles Barkley, say what you want, he's a man of his word. He's also, Charles Barkley, he's a tweener because he's real. There's nothing fake about him. Yes.
He's authentic. I mean, he's funny, he's hysterical. The round mound of rebound. The love, Crisco, all the nicknames he had during his time in Auburn. Remember all those nicknames that he had?
Yeah, the bread truck.
The bread truck. Remember the story in which he tried to avoid being drafted by the Philadelphia 76ers? How he went to
God. He went out there and ate 3 all-star breakfasts from Denny's, ate He gained about 30 pounds.
But Charles, man, I mean, he's funny. I mean, let's not forget the steam room. How he talked about he had the bracelet in his but that's about the thing is, and to your point, Champ, he doesn't take himself that too seriously at times. He's funny for a big guy. He's hysterical, and he's a big guy himself.
Yeah.
And he also has an underdog story because, again, he's not a prototypical power forward at 6'10", 6'11". Chuck is about 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
But for a guy at 6'4", 250, 260, 280, or whatever he weighed, and for him to move like that and to get rebounds and to also play make as well, that's what made Chuck so unique as a player and as an athlete. BRF.
Chuck's a tween. He's a tweener, but he's one of the lovable. For me, he's one of the lovable ones though, because I mean, you pretty much hit all the valid bullet points there are to this. Like he is one of those that are just gonna, like, how we say, how they say nowadays, sorry not sorry. He's one of those that's going to tell you what you need to hear, and sorry, and he's sorry not sorry. He's not worried about that. It's like he just wants to I don't know. It's just like some of the greatest comedy I've ever seen on any TV show is like his inside the NBA like moments and nostalgia. Like you like there's like I pulled up some videos and whatnot of like some of like his best moments, and I mean it's like going, man, it's just like one of my favorite ones from inside the NBA was the gosh, I hate to say it, but I'm with you. It was the Jussie Smollett one.
Yeah,
when he was he talking about do not take bribes with checks.
If you're gonna break the law,
you're gonna break the law. You do it with cash. Do not write a check. I'm like, oh god, oh man. And what was that other part they said about what's the one thing that you didn't think you would see before the season ended? And he was like, when he say two black guys beat the black guy up. I'm like, Chuck, I know you, bro. Like, bro, you did. I'm like, Chuck, you did not say that on the air, bro. Oh my god!
Learn how to speak Spanish.
No, it was what it was. He was talking about I remember that segment. He was talking about he should go to ESPN, and he was like, man, I'm not about to go to ESPN and do all that work and for them to not pay me.
Work me like a dog.
Work me like a dog and not pay me. He said. He's like, no, I'm gonna be on ESPN Deportes. So I'm gonna be like, muy bien, gracias.
Hey.
Oh, yeah, but he's a tween. But yeah, Chuck for me is a tweener, and I feel like with his humor, his humor definitely leans more on the babyface side, because I don't care who you are, anybody that's as funny as Chuck, you gonna get behind. You're gonna get behind him. You're gonna root for him. You're gonna watch him. You're gonna enjoy what he has to say. Anybody as comedic as Chuck, you're gonna root for him. And he's just one of those.
You got something right here.
Oh my
Chuck
God.
do that right now. Entertainment in Houston.
I bet you couldn't do that to them big ass women in San Antonio.
You're not even in San Antonio. You could do that to little skinny Houston. You can't do that to big old women in San Antonio. Why not? Just like you kick one of them big old women in San Antonio, that's gonna fly through. What about Victoria's Secret down there?
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I love me some Chuck, man. He's. I'm sorry, man. He's hysterical. He's hysterical, man.
Y'all remember what y'all need to watch is that Aries Spears impersonation of you need to watch, y'all need to watch that Aries Spears version of his impersonation of Charles Barkley. He said remember he said, Charles Barkley is by the box to play a Marco Polo is not on the same report. You know how you impersonate Charles. The famous song, let me tell you something. Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant. Kobe, everybody know Kobe, greatest player. Let me tell you something. Everybody know Kobe, and then and Aaron Spears finished it up. He started talking about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with basketball. Krispy Kreme donuts that's round like a rim, got a hole in it. He killed me saying that. Let me tell you something. It's funny how us Southerners have that humor.
You should have seen. Have you seen Frank Caliendo's impersonation of Charles?
Man, that's lovely.
He kills it too. He kills it too.
That is lovely. Hey man, look, man, that Southern charm, something serious, man. You can go all the way from Muhammad Ali to Charles Barkley to Shannon Sharp, man. That Southern charm, something serious, man. If anything, two things a Southerner knows how to do, man. We know how to cook and we know how to make you laugh. So, hey,
nothing better than Southern hospitality.
Exactly. So, yeah, man. Southern, you can't beat it, man. But like I said, man, that Southern humor is something else. Like I said, even it goes back to Muhammad Ali, even Reggie White. Mm-hmm. Reggie White impersonate, certain celebrities right in front of him. So, I mean, like I said, you can tell you a joke, and we can be serious when it's time to be serious, man. Gotta love that Southern charm.
All right, this next one, controversial one. I hope y'all sitting on your chairs. Champ is gonna go first. Deshaun Watson.
Next. I don't even know. PSP, love you to life. You're like a brother to me. Deshaun Watson, you made it too easy for us today. Deshaun, come on, man. You out there, you up in Cleveland stealing money right about now, man. Come on, bro. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I mean, I'ma just be real. Let's just be honest. When a player does something wrong, especially in the NFL, his play can make you forget it. I'm going to say that again. When an NFL player, especially in the National Football League, when they do something wrong, their play will sort of make you forget it. And we can name a lot of examples when it comes to that. People don't remember that Jamal Lewis got in trouble and had to do, about certain things during the offseason. People don't remember that. They remember the 2,000-yard season and the fact he led the Baltimore Ravens to a Super Bowl and was the stable of their franchise for a while. People don't remember the Dante Stallworth situation.
Yep.
People don't remember a lot of things when you think about Ray Lewis, what he did, what happened. I'm not going to say what he did because he got proven innocent. The only thing he got convicted for was obstruction of justice. When you think about Ray Lewis, what happened in Atlanta because he's so great, it's almost secondary. Now, if you just want to go out there nitpicking, you can. But when you are great, you almost make people forget about the transgressions that you've had. Look at Mike Vick. The transgressions that he had and how he was able to redeem himself. So with Deshaun Watson, I call him a heel, not just because of the things that he's did, but the thing is, you act like you don't care. It's like you don't care. Like I said, if you want to know what a person cares about, look no further than their social media pages. When you see each and every last one of our social media pages, you see something about education. You see something about sports. You see something about sports, something about the podcast, something about history. That's what we care about. When you see Deshaun Watson's page, if you go look at it, it don't have nothing to do with football. You might see a workout video here and there, but it ain't nothing to do with football. It's almost as if you are more focused on being a celebrity than being a football player. It's like you love what football brings to you. You know you don't love the game. You love what it brings to you. You love what it does for you. You love the invitation to the golf course, the fact that your name rings out among, being as far as being an NFL player. But it's just like you don't love the game. And like I said, had he came to Cleveland, conducted himself in a certain way, made sure that he, kept his nose clean and everything like that, I think it would have been a lot better. But since he didn't, and you still had things coming out, and they're looking into still trying to recoup some of the money that he had, because there's rumor has it that he didn't have his walking boot on when he re-aggravated his Achilles. So the fact that you had all of this stuff on your head, you missed 2 years of football, you get back, you don't perform, and then it's almost as if you didn't care. Not to mention, let's just go here. Had it not been for Deshaun Watson screwing up as bad as he did, a hell of a lot more NFL players, he would have set a new precedent in the NFL for fully guaranteed contracts. He would have set a precedent for fully guaranteed contracts. If he would have, because you have to think about this, your actions not only affect you, it affects everybody. If he would have came out and performed, now you can't help that you got injured, but if you would have came out and been performing and doing everything that you needed to do, performing on the field, being a model citizen, doing community service, holding community events, sort of like Michael Vick was doing, guess what? You would have set a new precedent for guaranteed contracts. We will see a new era in the NFL as far as salary is concerned. And guess what? We could partially blame him for Lamar Jackson and a lot of these other players not getting fully guaranteed contracts because of him. We could have saw an era going into the future. Had he gone to Cleveland and at least made the playoffs and made the Pro Bowl, you would have saw a whole new era of guaranteed contracts. I'm convinced of it. But because he went to Cleveland, didn't do what he was supposed to, and even then there was some controversy on his rehab and him being on the sidelines with his teammates when he had the injury to his shoulder last year. He chose to sit up in the press box rather than be on the sideline. So with the things that you have done, and you've acted like you didn't care, how you have conducted yourself, what you have done to not only cost yourself, but cost others, I have to put you in a heel situation. At one point, Deshaun Watson had the world at his feet when he was at Texas, in Houston.
Before he was a babyface, because remember, before all them accusations, his head coach Dabo Swinney said, "If you passing up on him, it's like you're passing up on Michael Jordan."
Yeah, and in the first 4 years of his career, he proved that. And
people forgotten how great he was his rookie year. Had it not been for that ACL injury, he would have won Offensive Rookie of the Year, Rookie of the Year. At one point, he wasn't even in discussion for MVP.
Yes. So the fact that it's just been a 360, and I don't know what else to say, because guess what? You've not only cost yourself, you've cost a whole generation of quarterbacks and football players guaranteed contract. Because like I said, I'm convinced had he performed, we would have seen a whole new precedent set on guaranteed contracts, because the precedent was set with him. They gave him a fully guaranteed contract. Can you imagine if he would have performed and Lamar Jackson would have went back and asked for a fully guaranteed contract? He probably would have got it. Can you imagine the precedent that would have set for Joe Burrow? He probably would have got it. Can you imagine the precedent that would have set for Josh Allen, and especially for Patrick Mahomes, and for this next generation of quarterbacks that you are seeing? The path you take is not your own. The path you take is not your own. When you screw up, you screw a lot of people that's lining up behind you. When you step out of line, you cut down a lot of people that's standing behind you, waiting for an opportunity. That I guarantee you, had he performed, Lamar Jackson would have had 3 times that contract. Maybe even he would have had that. He would have had a $300 million contract guaranteed on the slab. He was the former league MVP. Then came back the next year and won an MVP. And went to an went to the AFC Championship.
And then last year, almost got into another conference championship game and almost won MVP.
Exactly. So you mean to tell me that he didn't deserve a contract? That he didn't deserve a fully guaranteed contract? He did. But because Deshaun Watson was out here acting a fool, he couldn't get one. You just validated to NFL owners why quarterbacks and every other player do not need guaranteed contracts, because you're not going to perform. You don't have any incentive to perform. Had you conducted yourself with class and dignity and came in and do what you're supposed to do, even during the injury, even when you got injured, if you was performing the way you were supposed to, if you were the model citizen the way you were supposed to be doing, guess what? You would have set a precedent that would have lasted forever. We would have never had to worry about any signing bonuses, because it would have been $300 million, and that would have been that. NFL contract would have been just like the NBA contracts. But because you didn't do what you're supposed to, you cost so many people that was behind you. So I have to say heel, not just because of the actions that you did, but the actions that affected the people that was behind you, especially when it came to Lamar, because he was up for his next contract. Had you not been acting a fool and been doing what you were supposed to, he probably would have got a fully guaranteed contract. And that would have set a new precedent for the NFL. And a lot of players nowadays wouldn't have to worry about making incentives because their contracts would have been guaranteed. But you made it so where the owner said, okay, you see how this guy is acting. How do we know these other guys ain't going to do the same thing once they get a guaranteed contract?
Let's not forget the recent comments from Jimmy Haslam.
Yeah, they openly admitted that they whiffed on it. And like I said, with that comment, that's adding to it. Guess what? It's going to be a long time before we see another guy with a fully guaranteed contract, if we ever see it again.
Not to mention, Champ, what you also, for Deshaun Watson, you made Baker Mayfield look a hell of a lot good. Because, again, to your point, Champ, they wanted an adult in the locker room. But you bring in Deshaun Watson, given his off-the-field issues.
Yeah, they wanted an adult in the room and brought in Mr. Marcus, but I digress.
BRF.
How do you follow that? How do you follow that last line, bro? Like, how do you follow that? He I'm like, he was nailing it. Then he got to that last line.
Apparently, Deshaun Watson has not been following the advice of one Bill Clinton. But hey.
Mr. Touch My Body at his finest. Mr. Touch My Body at his finest. Bless it. But anyway, he is most definitely a heel, and it's really like the way his fortunes have turned since he left Houston up until, like, current day, tearing his Achilles, rupturing his Achilles, missing the season. Like, he's like, fans were happy that he got hurt. Levels of like fans, just fans being happy that not having to see him or deal with him. It's a shame. It's a shame too, because Deshaun Watson was like on the come up as far as like the young new prospects, like the quarterback position, and just being able to play within not only being able to play within the frame of an offense, but being able to scramble and make plays and kind of furthering this evolution of the quarterback position with the quarterbacks being able to run, and also with him and everything he did at Clemson, winning, helping them win a natty. I mean, just you would look like, and you would think with like the accomplishments that he had before, you might well say before the 2021 season, like all the accomplishments that he already had before the 2021 season, you look and it's like, oh yeah, I can get behind a dude like him. But just like, I don't know, is his fall from grace needs to be studied, because I had
They
him.
will do a 30 for 30 on this.
Oh, they should easily. And I remember because like Lord, it's a shame. It's a shame what's happened to him. But I mean, it's kind of, I hate to say he's kind of put himself in this situation, but when you look at the trouble that he's in, when you look at that, just I don't know, just
Do you know how
and
do you know how bad you got to be for Deshaun Watson? I mean, hell, you're making Ben Roethlisberger look like a damn saint.
tell me about it. And his crime is nowhere. And his crime allegedly is nowhere near as easy to get away with, easy to get in trouble with. So it's just I don't know. It's one of those things you don't really know what to say. It's just that right there is just a bad situation all around. But like I said, Deshaun Watson really has himself to blame. I mean, even with the injuries that he's suffered, even with the time that he's missed, just kind of take some time to reflect and kind of appreciate where you are. Like you didn't have to be here, and you're just this like $230 million fully guaranteed, and it's like you're not even close to paying the results of that thing. You're not even close, and it's just it's crazy. You hope things can pick up, but you would hope he would kind of get himself together, but you really don't know what he's going to do at this point. And with all those allegations and the accusations and all that stuff, it makes it hard for really anybody to cheer him on, because it's just I don't know. It's just
No
you want him to do, yeah, you want him to do better, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, I want you to do better, but goodness gracious, man, look at how far you've fallen. You shouldn't have fell. You should have never fallen this far.
To add on to Champ's point, remember that it even got so bad to a point you even saw kids with them signs. So that's how bad it was for them at that time. Nowadays, Deshaun Watson, look, it is the butt of jokes. Because anytime when you think of Deshaun Watson, the first thing that's going to come to your mind is, to your point, BRF, Mr. Touch My Body, or the massage parlors, or hell, does he need to talk to Bill Clinton for advice and helping him stay away from them women? Does he need to talk to Diddy? Is that what he needs to do? So that's how. So it's looked that bad for him, and it's without question the worst trade in football or in sports.
Yeah,
because you gave up 3 first-round picks, and Houston was able to get C.J. Stroud, their franchise quarterback, a franchise defensive player who will be in the discussion for defensive player of the year in the years to come, Will Anderson Jr. I think they, I don't remember who they drafted with that pick. I think it was Derek Stingley Jr. or something.
Then they got Tank Dell.
And they acquired you for $200, and they paid you $230 million guaranteed. Meanwhile, your predecessor, Baker Mayfield, has had back-to-back Pro Bowl caliber seasons and has led his team to the NFC South title twice in consecutive seasons. So it's unfortunately for the Deshaun Watson thing, it's a tragedy. It really is, because for a quarterback who had a lot of promise, to see him take an epic fall from grace, there will be an ESPN documentary on this, or some documentary at this at some point. It will. That's just how it is. But go ahead, champ.
We can only hope that Cleveland that it's just the Cleveland effect.
All right.
We can only hope that it's just the Cleveland effect because we saw a lot of guys go to Cleveland and it just not work out because, the pressure and, the quote unquote curses, that the Cleveland sports is up under, outside of Jim Brown, LeBron James. We can only hope for that young man to go somewhere, get some coaching, get his mind and his heart right, and for him to at least redeem himself by making a Pro Bowl. And just saying, you know what, it was just the environment. I just didn't see myself flourishing there. The pressure was too great. Because remember, Houston, he was a late first-round pick. The expectations were not necessarily there. When they got him in Cleveland, they brought him there to win a Super Bowl because they felt like they had enough talent in order to get there. So I'm hoping for his redemption story if he has one. I'm hoping that he can go somewhere and have a redemption story in order to redeem himself. But thus far,
it's highly unlikely.
You'll be surprised. I mean, if Greg Hardy can get a chance with Dallas and we've seen a lot of guys get second chances in the NFL. A lot of guys. I hope that he goes somewhere and redeems himself. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be the butt of jokes for years to come. I mean, at least with the Herschel Walker thing, they at least got to the playoffs. They at least got to an NFC championship game.
You're not getting anywhere, champ. Hell, you couldn't even get a government cheese sandwich for all I care.
Yeah.
All right, fellas. Let's we got a couple topics, so let's just wrap it up real quick. Joe Milton, quarterback from the New England Patriots, has been traded to the Dallas Cowboys. What did they get in return for the trade, champ?
Dallas traded a 5th-round pick, and they traded a 5th-round pick for Joe Milton and a 7th.
Yes, I like it for Dallas. They needed to move on from Trey Lance, and you already lost Cooper Rush, who's I believe in Baltimore. So with Joe Milton there, he has some potential. He has a big arm. He has some athletic ability. And look, I'm sorry, Dallas, you stuck with Dak Prescott. You gave him that contract. And if I'm Dak Prescott at that time, if I really truly cared about winning, I would not have stayed in Dallas. Because at the end of the day, as long as Jerry Jones running the show, and I don't want to talk about the Dallas Cowboys. I know BRF doesn't want to talk about the Cowboys. I know Champ for a fact doesn't want to talk about the Cowboys because he has to deal with Mama Champ, and Mama Champ probably want to smack him or grab him in his ear right now and talking about her team. But the fact of the matter is, it's a trade. I don't mind the trade because you need to have somebody there for the Cowboys in case if Dak Prescott gets hurt. Not wishing injury upon anyone, but at the same time, considering Dak Prescott so far of the recent injuries, I think it's best for you to get Joe Milton. As for Dallas, it's still not going to do much because, again, Philly is still better than you. Washington is still better than you. Hell, we don't even know what the New York Giants are going to do, and they may do something. So, in the end, I'll say it and I'll say it again. As long as Jerry Jones running the show, this is as far as the Dallas Cowboys can go. Whoever wants to go.
This is just another look at me trade. I like the trade because it adds depth to the quarterback position. I think Joe Milton has a lot of talent, but it's no different than the Trey Lance trade. It's really no different. It's like we made a trade. It's going to get people talking. It's going to get a lot of conversations that's really not going to happen. People are going to start bringing up these imaginary quarterback controversies, which is not going to happen. People are going to start saying Dak Prescott, watch a job, which ain't going to happen. It's going to get a lot of conversations going, but guess what? There's not going to be a lot of actions behind it. That's all that is. Like I said, I like the trade, but it's more so a look at what we did trade than a trade that's going to impact your play on the field. Because at the end of the day, you still haven't re-signed your star linebacker. You stopped talks with him already. So that's what you need to be doing. So at the end of the day, good trade. I commend you for that. Added depth to the position, just in case Dak is not available. Dak has 2 seasons where he's been injured. But you have to ask yourself this. What is this going to do in the long term? Not a darn thing. This is just another look at me trade on the part of Jerry Jones, much like they did with Trey Lance. It's going to get a lot of imaginary talks, quarterback controversy talks. Dak needs to watch his job. If Dak has so much as one bad game, you're going to start hearing people, do they need to put in Joe Milton? You're going to hear it. He has one bad game. You're going to start hearing it. And it's going to get people talking for no reason because he's going to trot them back out there the very next week. So it's just another Jerry Jones PR stunt in order to get folks talking. I don't even take it serious.
PRF?
Oh, man. I guess, I don't know. I guess knowing knowing like details. Because I told you before the show, I had no idea. I had no idea that happened. He has shown potential when he's gotten out there in the field. His arm strength in particular, he's got a cannon of an arm. Very much athletic, so he definitely. There's the right system could unlock him. Possibly the right system could unlock it if he were to get a chance to be someone's starting quarterback. I like him personally as a player. This trade is just one of those I guess we can make a little room, bring him in, and then see what we can do as far as you see what we can do as far as other things are concerned. What I'm saying? Joe Milton's just one of those guys you just bring in. He's like he's another guy in the QB room that honestly you did need. With Cooper Rush not being there anymore, you needed another guy in there. I do. We'll kind of have to wait and see what happens here. But I was surprised that it happened. The way they've been talking about, I guess, kind of not surprised that a trade ultimately did happen to get to kind of get Joe Milton out of New England. Because it almost kind of felt like he did kind of, when he did come out and he did play, he kind of took a little shine off of he took some shine away from Drake May, who they really want to be the guy. So I think this does kind of alleviate pretty much alleviates all that pressure off of Drake May and just let him be the guy. Basically, let nobody he can be the guy, not necessarily having to worry about someone kind of peeping over his shoulder, seeing what he's doing and waiting for him to mess up. So, but I definitely, this is just one of those, really the only quarterback. The only one you really got on the roster right now is Dak, unless you mess around and get him traded because I mean you've been hearing his names a little bit in trade rumors, not as much, but there's been a couple that that I've seen as far as he goes, but kind of it's a wait and see approach because I mean you're really not expecting much from anything. You're just expecting him to sit on the bench, suck up everything he can as far as knowledge and all that, and then ultimately get to take it to the field and see what you're capable of doing. So yeah, this is definitely I do like it for Joe Milton because it's something different. It is something different. I mean, you never know. He could come back around and I don't know. Maybe kind of show himself, get an opportunity, but we'll see as far as the trade goes. But nothing to it's nothing to write home about, but it's something there it could be a popular, it could be a catalyst or something. You never know. I am kind of rooting for Joe Milton though, because he does have plenty of talent. So I do hope the trade does pay off and he gets kind of get a fair shake to ultimately he's kind of doing things on his own accord. So we'll kind of a wait and see approach.
All right, just want to make real quick on this type of subject. It's regarding Caitlin Clark. Let me see if I have it. Oh no, that's a different article. Sorry about that. See if I have it. Yes, Caitlin Clark right here. Big news. An auction for Clark's 1 of 1 2024 Panini Prism WNBA Gold Vinyl Autograph Rookie Card closed at $366,000 Saturday night, according to Golden Auctions. That's just short of $100,000 over the previous record price for a women's sports card held since 2022, when a Serena Williams card sold for $266,400. And according to The Athletic, at least 3 Clark cards have sold for 6 figures in recent months. Champ, what are your thoughts on that?
Great. That is amazing. That just goes to show you how far the WNBA has come and how much of a crossover superstar that she really is. And I can't wait to see this season. Because, hey, even the great Cheryl Swoops acknowledged, you know how hard that is and you know how you can imagine how difficult that was for Mrs. Swoops. As you know, there's been a lot of controversy between her and Caitlin Clark. But even she acknowledged, not only did she have the highest selling rookie card ever for a women's sports figure, they have arguably the best offseason of anybody in the WNBA at this point. And they have a chance to win a championship this year. Can you imagine the notoriety that will bring Caitlin Clark winning her championship? And remember, she was an MVP candidate last year as well, towards the end of the season. And it would just be so critical. It'd be so critical. Such a big thing, not just for her to win, but if she's able to go over on the Las Vegas Aces. And the best player in the league right now to pass the torch. So I think that's a great thing, especially with the position that she's in, the notoriety that she's brought to the sport. Not to mention, I don't think enough people is talking about this. It's time for me to do a video on it. The Indiana Fever has the most televised games in WNBA history. I think all of their games are televised. So I think it's great for the WNBA, especially with the collective bargaining agreement coming to an end next year. They're definitely going to need her now more than ever.
BRF?
Lord, I'm thinking. I don't know. You might. I don't know. I'll let you go. You have to come back to me on that one.
Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to go on this one, but don't worry about it. But I'm happy to all the points that Undisputed World Champ said. This is going to help WNBA as far as getting more notoriety and attention. I mean, I'm reading this right here. I mean, here are her top 5 most expensive Panini Prism WA signature cards. One on March 29th, 2005, as I mentioned, $366,000. Then the Panini Select Signed Gold Vinyl that was sold back in December of 2024. That was near $235,000, $234,850 to be exact. Back in February of 2025, the Panini Select WNBA Gold Vinyl Prism, $105,326.26. Then the Panini back in December 28th, 2024. The Panini Select WNBA Signatures Black Finite Prism, 97,600. And back on October 4th, 2024, the Panini Instant Rookie of the Year Blue Viper autographed, 97,212. So Caitlin Clark is a transcender. And I can't wait for the WNBA season. To Undisputed World's Champs point. He stole all my thunder as well, but as he always says, great minds think alike. It just tells you just how big Caitlin Clark is, not just as the athlete, but also as the celebrity as well. Because even in the Kansas City Chiefs game, there was coverage of her. So it just tells you the impact she has brought in for basketball and also for women and sports in general.
Mm-hmm.
All right. BRF, I'll let you go first on this one. Favorite Owen Hart moment?
I don't know. I would have loved to have seen him win a world championship. I would have loved to have seen him got an opportunity at a world championship before he passed away. I mean, that's an unfortunate thing with Owen Hart. I definitely enjoyed the rivalry he had with Brett. That cage match. Ugh. That cage match at SummerSlam was, man, that's that's one of those matches that you kind of frame up somewhere, and you kind of it's one of those matches that you kind of keep it in the back of your mind, and if, like, you know what I'm saying, you're bored and you're not doing much and you kind of want messing around piddling with wrestling and you want to watch a good match, you watch that cage match. You watch that cage match between those two, because it was like, even though there was the brutal aspects of it, I mean, it's Brett and it's Owen, and they were just still always trying to just prove who was better in terms of just their technical prowess and just being who they were. That SummerSlam cage match for me is always a go-to. I loved, even though they didn't capitalize on this angle, the black heart, the black heart angle, where it was just like they were kind of like trying to let him run with it, just kind of see where it would go, but then people started getting behind him, and people starting to cheer for him, and I feel like it was one of those. I feel like it could have been the angle to really be the catalyst into Owen Hart just becoming like one of the faces of WWE, just being one of those faces that could help like carry that company years from then and into like a new era, and just and with the Blackheart angle, like so many angles it could have played into, with Bret, with the Bret Hart stuff, and just like all of the just all of the controversy that was surrounding, like Bret and Shawn and all that stuff that was going on, all the controversy that just like really just took heed of, like, kind of jumped in front of everything else that was going on. Like that Owen Hart, that Blackheart version of Owen Hart could have been something that I was thinking it was going to propel him to the WWE Championship, and it didn't. And but yeah, I would have to. I would have to go with that Blackheart angle, just because of the organic feel to it. Because it started off like you didn't know what was going on. Then as the week progresses, like the popularity came up, and like I said, it got to a point where you're kind of holding out hope. Maybe you can finally win him a world championship with this angle, but they never did it. But even still, I love the kind of like a reboot to Owen Hart, and like kind of, everything that was going for him at the time. The Blackheart angle was like a reboot like seeing like a side of Owen you don't necessarily always see, and it was good for the time. So, and like I said, he's like one of the most underrated performers wrestling has ever seen. I still think he's the biggest opportunity as far as like putting the world championship on somebody just to see what he could do and where he could have taken it. So, but yeah, for me, my favorite Owen Hart moment was that entire blackout, that Blackheart angle. Like I said, it was fresh and it was something different from Owen, and it was something we needed to see to add layers to him, the layers to his character, and it was just great. It was just great on his part. So yeah, for me it was that entire Blackheart angle.
I would say the WrestleMania moment between him and Bret Hart when he beat Bret Hart that match, and I think it was a great moment. And that was also still the night in which Bret Hart didn't he win the main event match?
Yeah, he
At
beat
that
him.
WrestleMania? So so for Owen to have that type of moment, I mean, wow. And can you imagine if Owen Hart were still alive today? Imagine what he could be in today's wrestling.
Yeah,
You would definitely see him have a WWE title because of how great he was a technician, the athlete. Heck, BRF, you've even made the argument yourself. He's better than Bret.
I felt like from just an all around standpoint, I always felt like Owen had the keys to the kingdom, man. Owen could do more. Like the pro, like not just I mean, it wasn't just his technical. It wasn't just the technical wrestling, which we all know he could do. But I mean, he could just do everything. The high flying, the promo work. I always felt like he was an underrated guy on the mic. I felt like all around Owen could do more. He was more talented to me.
Not to mention Owen Hart though was a hell of a ribber. He was one hell of a Champ. Do you remember the story with him and D'Lo Brown? I think I sent you the video on Dark Side of the Ring.
Well, man, he kept on tying the shoe.
Yeah. And D'Lo's like, how is he doing this? I mean, D'Lo's like, how the hell is he doing this? I always tie my shoes. And then Owen's like, you calm now? Let's get to wrestling. And also, I mean, just listen to D'Lo Brown, listen to the great Mark Henry. I mean, Owen Hart, man, he was a well-known ribber. He was funny. Nothing but great things about him from Jim Ross, Jim Cornette. Gone way too soon at the age of 33, 34 years old. But if he were in today's generation, my God. Man. The floor is yours, champ.
I know this is look, I actually watched the New Generation era. You know, I still watch it to this day. Y'all remember when he won those 2 Slammy Awards? He just kept carrying them around.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got 2 Slammies. So I think that was good. One of my greatest moments, Owen Hart, when he won the tag team titles at WrestleMania 11 with Yokozuna. I think that was good. And, you know, his heel work was good because the reason why he chose, remember during that match, he was going up against the Smoking Guns, Bart and Billy Gunn. And remember why he chose Yokozuna. He said, for my partner, I chose a man who did something I wanted to do all my life. And that guy beat my brother Bret for the World Wrestling Federation title. And that guy is Yokozuna. So his heel work, that was diabolical. They picked the guy who beat your brother for the World Wrestling Federation title, like the previous other year for the title at WrestleMania 9. That was diabolical as a heel for you to pick him. So, and Yokozuna was a hell of a wrestler as well. You know, although he was getting towards the end at that point, I love seeing that, man. You know, Granted, Owen knew he had to carry the brunt of the work for them, but it was an incredible moment because you realize how over he really, really was. And that was a great moment. But I have to go with when he won the 2 Slammies because he kept he put them on his tights, 2-time Slammy Award winner. It was crazy. He and then him and Bulldog was beefing during that time, even though they was tag team partners. And in the first thing he said, he's got 2 belts, I've got 2 Slammies. So that was a moment, man. That was a moment. But I gotta pick the one that he did with Yokozuna at WrestleMania 11. That was beautiful. That was very beautiful.
And Tramp, you go first. Last topic. Favorite Dr. Dre track?
The one and only DRE. I keep their heads ringing. Hey man, look, Doc. The Quincy Jones of hip hop. Look, if you want your album sales to go real good, go get the Doc to produce your albums up and down. And you can go down the line. People don't even realize, people always put Dr. Dre in a box. I don't think they understand how many people he really produced. Remember JJ Fad? It was Dr. Dre. Above the Law, Dr. Dre. Michelle A's first album, Dr. Dre. The DOC's album, Dr. Dre. So that's just what he did. I mean, the man single-handedly built 3 record labels. Built Ruthless, built Death Row, and built Aftermath. Anybody that can build 3 record labels, that's genius. Oh, not only that. Remember, he helped build a world-class wrecking crew. Remember the world-class wrecking crew? Turn off the lights. Back when he was venturing between LA Dre and Dr. Dre, because remember, everybody was called Doctor back then. So at one point he was called LA Dre. So I say keep their heads ringing, and I have to say let me see. Dr. Dre. I gotta always NWA always into something. So
I'm surprised he didn't mention Dre Day.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it a little bit clean on this one. I was gonna leave that one to somebody else, but heads ringing, always into something by NWA, and I have to say, Natural Born Killers by him and Ice, because when the red beat came in, BRF, you talking about how Travis Scott came in with the beat drop. The way that beat came in, it was second to none. And back then when you had the Pioneer speakers banging in the back of your Jeep or your car or what have you, look, when that beat dropped on Natural Born Killers with him by Ice Cube, and you heard the guy in the background, it was crazy. That was one of the best Dr. Dre beats I ever heard, because it was just like, it was loud. It was just, and it puts you on the edge. It was crazy. So I got to say, heads ringing, always into something, and Natural Born Killers. Those were my 3 favorite Dr. Dre tracks, man.
BRF.
You could never go wrong. You can never go wrong with Still DRE. You can never go wrong with that, especially when they performed it at the Super Bowl. I mean, that was just classic. That was just amazing. Still DRE. I mean, come on, ain't nothing but a G thing. I mean, that's like the quintessential. Like, you can't, like, that's like you at a cookout or you at a party or something like that. You got it. Ain't nothing but a G thing. You got to hit that. It's like this and like that and like this and it's like that and like this and like that and it's like this. Oh, come on, man. You can never go. That's the classic. That's a classic. Those for me like have always just been the two. Like with Dre and then Snoop, those have always just been like the two that are like just gonna like stand like the test of time. And I know Dre's got more good songs. Obviously forgot about Dre. Forgot about Dre. Him and M. I mean, obviously that. Shoot. Let me ride. Hey, that's another one.
187.
So. Most definitely.
From the movie Deep Cover, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, most definitely love that one. And shout out and RIP. Shout out to Big Pun and Fat Joe for arguably making a better version of the Deep Cover song
especially with Pun's verse.
Pun. That one verse, that one part of that Pun verse should be illegal at all time. That was crazy how he rolled that off, effortless. My favorite Dre track though is probably Ain't Nothing But a G Thing. It's probably like the one for me that really kind of stands above all of them. So yeah, my favorite one is probably Ain't Nothing But a G Thing.
The Message.
Ooh.
Because he talks about how he missed his brother, rest his soul, and then Mary J. Blige singing in the track. That's a really deep song. Like I said, if you're going through emotion, if you're going through problems and things of that nature, The Message. Just like I listen to the games, Why You Hate the Game, on an emotional standpoint, that's the song you listen to. So I like The Message. Forgot About Dre. So those are my two when I think of with Dr. Dre. And hold up, wait a minute, let me put some Kush up in it. So Kush. So we can't forget that track as well, too. And him and Kendrick Lamar.
Yes,
The other track,
The Recipe.
Yes, The Recipe. So, and let's not forget, Drake collaborated with a lot of them. I mean, Mary J. Blige, Busta Rhymes. Let's not forget that when Busta joined Aftermath.
Yeah. Hey man, Dre has some of the greatest proteges you ever want to have. But I mean, you could start with NWA, you could go DLC, Above the Law, you go to M. It's hard to really pick out who his best one was. Now, I will always say his greatest one is a What If story. Because I will always say his greatest protege was DOC. I will always say his greatest protege was DOC. If you really look at DOC and where he was, I don't think people understand this. He did a whole album and didn't curse not one time until you got to the last song that he made with NWA called The Grand Finale. Go back and listen to No One Can Do It Better. He didn't curse not one time until he got on that last track with NWA, and they called it The Grand Finale. And for DOC to do that, it was crazy. So I really think his best protege was DOC. We just didn't get a chance to see what he could actually be, unfortunately, because of that accident.
Really great conversation, fellas. That concludes the rest of the Sports PSP podcast. BRF, I'm gonna let you end it off, man. Tell them where to follow you at, man.
Well, as always, BRF Sports, that's the TikTok handle. Linktree is in the bio of my TikTok page. Go follow my Twitter /X. You follow my IG. You follow my Facebook page. I also have a Discord channel. If I got an active link in the bio as well. So if you want to get in there, join up with me, talk some sports among other things. I definitely have that. I definitely have that open as well as far as the Discord. Just shout out to y'all. It's always a pleasure jumping on here every week to get on here and just do what we love to do. It's always a pleasure with you guys. So so we definitely appreciate and love y'all's support too, man. We definitely love y'all's support and keep it coming, man. So a topic I thought about is a topic I thought about. we appreciate all the love and support.
Undisputed World Champ.
Just glad to be on the pod, man. Like I said, I call it the highlight of Friday nights for a reason, man. To be able to come on here and talking about things that I love, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, it's great to be able. And, you know, shout out to all of y'all, especially UPSP, who put my talent to great use. And without y'all, I would not be here. I really appreciate y'all. So not to get sentimental on national television, but I just got to be honest. So thank y'all for appreciating me and appreciating the talent and putting me in good position so I can let that flourish. Like I said, and I would give PSP all the credit in the world. If it wasn't for PSP and the PSP pod, there would not be an Undisputed GOAT, or you would have never heard of World Champ. So I appreciate that, and thank you, BRF, as well, man. It's always a privilege, a pleasure, and an honor to stand on stage with both of you guys.
Likewise, fellas. Always a pleasure having y'all on the pod. Love y'all knowledge, brilliance. Love y'all charisma. Hey, nothing better. I mean, obviously, y'all from the South. Nothing better than Southern hospitality. Not only y'all can cook, but y'all can also entertain. And that's the reasons why I brought them on the show, because they're brilliant, knowledgeable, charismatic, and they entertain. And that's what we love to do, entertain the audience and love discussing whatever was on our mind. But fellas, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Sports PSP podcast is doing well, as Champ says, 100,000. And we're going to continue for more and more success. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. Y'all stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the NCAA tournament. And a couple of weeks, we got the play-in tournament for the NBA. So can't wait for that. So y'all stay safe. Enjoy the rest of y'all weekend. And peace.